Welcome to the Fantasy Audiobook. Myth: My Dragons Can Evolve Infinitely. Chapter 41. As for the Taoist Jia Yin, Yao Qing is not afraid. Although the current Taoist Jia Yin is one of the 6 saints of the ancient world, extremely powerful, and the Amitabha of later generations, so what? Moreover, during this period of conferring gods, Taoist Jia Yin and Tao Bodhi did not do anything good. Especially Taoist Jia Yin, who often said that this treasure is destined to me. I don't know how many treasures were forcibly deceived by Taoist Jia Yin. Gone, never paid back. Zhou Qingzhang was worried that he had no next goal, so he tried to brush up the luck of the Dragon Clan, but unexpectedly someone came to his door. At this moment, outside the East China Sea, 2 Taoist boys wearing white shirts stood quietly in the air. Senior brother, why did I hear that the Dragon King of the East China Sea, Ao Qing, has become very powerful recently? He even conquered the 4 seas and defeated 100,000 demons. Now that we are here to borrow their seeding needle, will it bring us trouble? Quote. One of the Taoist boys looked at the calm East China Sea with a worried look in his eyes and said, HMPH, it's just the little Dragon King of the East China Sea, it's just a declining dragon clan. Why worry? Don't forget, the master asked his people to come here to borrow magic weapons from these monsters. Of course, on the surface, it is borrowing, but in fact yes, it's asking for rent. Another bold Taoist boy snorted and said with some disdain, the great tribulation of the gods is coming soon. Master and the others are busy poaching around and ferrying those people to the west. We can't be left behind. We need more lend some equipment to Master and the others, and when our Western sect becomes prosperous, you and I will both be great contributors. Hearing what senior brother Tao said, the Taoist boy known as junior brother nodded slightly, and his originally worried expression instantly improved a lot. Yes, even if we measure the coast of the East China Sea, we don't dare to offend our master and others, so we can only obediently give them magic weapons and the like. While the 2 Taoist boys were thinking, water mist suddenly rose on the shore of the East China Sea in the distance, and Prime Minister Turtle slowly revealed his figure. Seeing the appearance of Prime Minister Turtle, the Taoist boy who was called senior brother snorted coldly, Look, what am I talking about? As long as I tell you the name of Master, even the Dragon King of the East China Sea will have to lie down carefully for me. Having said this, the Taoist boy's nose looked a little high. He looked at Prime Minister Gui and said arrogantly, Old Turtle, when you see us Taoist boys who are guiding the Taoist, why don't you invite us in respectfully? Quote. However, before the 2 of them could continue to speak, Prime Minister Turtle waved his hand, and 2 terrifying waves of air rushed directly towards the 2 Taoist boys, turning them into 2 puffs of blood mist. You guys are too tongue-tied. After saying these words, Prime Minister Turtle returned directly to Donghai without even looking at the 2 killed Taoists. Soon, Prime Minister Turtle informed the East China Sea Dragon King Tao Qing about the news of killing the Taoist boy. The elders of the Dragon Clan felt indescribably happy and proud when they saw Prime Minister Turtle being so bold. Even the Dragon King of the East China Sea, Ao Qing, smiled slightly and felt very happy in his heart. What about the Taoist boy who led him? Kill or kill? The death of the Taoist boy was just a small episode, and no one cared about it. In the next few days, under the instructions of Tao Qing, the entire Sea-High coast, in addition to vigorously teaching those fish spirits, fish monsters, shrimp soldiers and crab generals, was also actively building their own armor and magic weapons. And Bao Qing had no time to spare. He escaped into the 7th level of the Dragon Art, and began to attack the 7th level of the Dragon Art. It is obviously different from the 6th level of Dragon Art. The 7th level of Dragon Art mainly teaches the user the ability to control advanced 5-element spells. It can make every skill of the user become extremely powerful and suppress everything. For example, one of the advanced 5-element spells, Taishan Crush, allows Ao Qing to gather earth elements in just a few breaths to form a giant mountain the size of Mount Tai, which can then descend and cause extremely terrifying and huge damage to the enemy. Then there is the advanced 5-element spell skill, Yuhenyancho, which allows Ao Qing to lay down clouds of thunder and calamity over several cities in just a few breaths, thereby killing the enemy. The power is extremely terrifying. Although the names of these spell skills do not sound domineering, they have to be said to be very practical. And Bao Qing can clearly feel that after comprehending these 5 elements skills, his ability to control the 5 elements has obviously improved. It's gone up a lot. Since the birth of the ancestral dragon, the Dragon Clan has been a master at controlling the power of the 5 elements, and the Dragon King of the 4 Seas has mastered the power of 5 different elements. Now that he has evolved into an 8-clawed golden dragon, such elemental power can naturally be easily mastered. The 7th level of Shenlong Ju, it took a long time to practice the Qing Qing. If anyone were around him at this moment, they would be surprised to find that the elements surrounding him reflected the brilliance. The 7-color light is very eye-catching and dazzling. And when Nao Qing worked hard to practice and hit the 7th level of Shenlong Ju, Prime Minister Gui and others did not delay at all. According to Nao Qing's vision, they worked hard to develop the Dragon Clan and improve the luck and overall strength of the entire Dragon Clan. At this moment, Western teaching. Taoist Jieyin sat quietly cross-legged on top of the 12th grade golden lotus, his innate spiritual treasure. His eyes were shining with a strong light, and he opened his mouth without knowing what he was saying. In front of him, there were rows of disciples wearing Western religious uniforms. Each of these disciples looked very serious and extremely focused, as if they were trying to understand what the Taoist was saying. These disciples were recruited by Taoists from various places and taught them Western teachings. However, what makes Taoist Jie Yin a little depressed is that even though he tried very hard, these disciples have not yet enlightened themselves. It is difficult to get started, let alone practice. When he thought that Yuan Shi Tianzun and Taisheng Laojun had many golden immortal level disciples, Taoist Jie Yin became so angry that his teeth started to itch. You know, saints like them cannot interfere in the affairs of the 6 realms at all, so if you want to have a place in this mythical world, you must rely on powerful disciples to support the scene. Yuan Shi Tianzun already has 12 golden immortals, Taisheng Laojun also has quite a few, and the disciples of Tongtian Cult Master are even more numerous. Seeing that just when the great catastrophe of the gods is coming, all the resources of the entire mythical world are taken up. But he didn't make any effort at all. He finally established a Western sect and didn't even have a few outstanding disciples. On the side that received the Taoist, Bodhi Taoist also looked worried. Once the great tribulation of the gods is over and the various forces in the mythical world are redistributed, I am afraid that the Western sect will not even have a chance to survive. Just when the 2 of them were depressed, a Taoist boy ran over crying and shouting, "Two holy lords, it's not good. The 2 boys you sent to borrow the magic weapon were killed by the Dragon King of the East China Sea's subordinates. He was beaten to death directly. And on the shores of the East China Sea, there's not even an explanation." Upon hearing this, Taoist Master Jie Ying and Taoist Bodhi looked at each other in surprise, and both could see each other's shock. Although the Taoist boy they sent was not very powerful, it was not something that ordinary people could easily kill. Moreover, killing the Taoist boy who was leading the Taoist, what was the difference between killing him and slapping him in the face to lead the Taoist? Have even the East China Sea Dragon Clan become so arrogant now? Aren't you afraid of their saints? HMPH, this East China Sea Dragon Clan was very arrogant when Zulong was in charge during the prehistoric times. Unexpectedly, after these few epochs have passed, their temper has not weakened, but has become more arrogant. Dare to kill the Taoist boy who is connected to you, the Taoist guide. Hearing that the Dragon Clan of the East China Sea acted like this, Taoist Bodhi frowned and said with a gloomy look. They are all saints, including Taoist Reception, Taoist Bodhi, Yuan Shi Tianzun, Tongtian Cult Leader, etc., and are extremely powerful. Although they are not as famous as Yuan Shi Tianzun and others, they are still well known in this mythical world. Somewhat thin noodles. Good guy, this Donghai Dragon Clan is so unworthy that they even killed their Taoist boy. Taoist Jie Yin's eyes also became a little gloomy, and he was ready to cause trouble for the East China Sea Dragon Clan. But at this moment, one of the disciples they sat down quickly said, "Two holy lords, please don't provoke the East China Sea Dragon Clan. Haven't you heard that the East China Sea Dragon Clan has recently unified the entire 4 seas and almost water-flood Shentangguan?" As soon as the disciple said this, Taoist Bodhi couldn't help but grin, and his eyes flashed with contempt. Flooded Shentangguan, unify the coasts of the world. What an act! But soon, the contempt in Taoist Bodhi's eyes suddenly subsided, and the disciple was heard to speak again. and not only that, I heard that the East China Sea Dragon clan also killed Master Tai, and Li Jing and his wife and others also. He was directly suppressed and brought back to the coast of the East China Sea. Tai Zhenren. Upon hearing this name, Taoist Master Jia Yin and Taoist Bodhi's expressions changed. The two of them knew clearly that Tai Zhenren was one of the disciples of Yuan Shi Tianzun. The existence of the 12 golden immortals was extremely powerful. Not to mention the shores of the East China Sea, I am afraid that even the whole world is no match for him. Not to mention that Tai Zhenren also possesses many magic weapons, such as Wantian Ling, Huojianqiang, Yefutian Ling Bao. And such a golden immortal was actually suppressed by the Donghai tribe. While the two were thinking like this, the apprentice added, "This is not the key. The most important thing is that the person who took action was the Prime Minister Turtle on the shore of the East China Sea. The strongest person in the Dragon Clan of the East China Sea who has survived to the end of his youth. In the end he didn't take action. It is said that he has evolved into a 7-clawed golden dragon." Hearing this, Taoist Reception and Taoist Bodhi were very surprised. At this moment, they were even more surprised and speechless. They did not expect that the East China Sea Dragon clan was already so powerful. They are very clear about the abilities of Prime Minister Turtle. Now that even the little Prime Minister Turtle of the entire East China Sea Dragon clan can suppress Master Tai, then how strong must the entire East China Sea Dragon clan be? Involuntarily, in the eyes of Taoist Jia Yin and Taoist Bodhi, the Dragon King of the East China Sea, Ao Cheng, became more and more mysterious. However, the two of them were saints after all, and they knew that even if the Dragon King of the East China Sea was a 7-clawed golden dragon, he would not be a match for saints like them. However, the rise of the Dragon clan in the East China Sea against the heavens shocked the two of them. The reason is simple. That means there must be someone behind this matter, and there must be an extremely terrifying backstage behind the Dragon clan. Otherwise, it would be impossible to improve so quickly in such a short period of time. "How did you know this news?" Taoist Jia Yin asked quickly. "These news have spread throughout the entire mythical world. After all, the disappearance of Master Tai has greatly shocked the entire mythical world." The apprentice spoke quickly. Upon hearing these words, the faces of Taoist Jingyan and Taoist Bodhi suddenly changed into playful faces, as if they were not the ones who wanted to tear the East China Sea Dragon clan into pieces just now. "What should we do now?" Taoist Bodhi frowned. The Taoist boy was killed. It seemed that he had to swallow it hard. Before he got definite news. Even Master Tai dares to kill him. This Donghai Dragon clan is either stupid or has an extremely deep background behind it. The guide frowned. "It seems that one of you and I need to go to the East China Sea Dragon Palace to see what magical place this East China Sea Dragon Palace has." Hearing this, Taoist Bodhi on the side seemed to suddenly think of something, and his eyes lit up. "If this East China Sea Dragon Palace really becomes extremely powerful, maybe we can take this opportunity to establish a good relationship with this East China Sea Dragon Palace, and maybe the great conferred God in times of calamity. It can also help our Western religion." As soon as he finished speaking, the Taoist's eyes flickered, vaguely thinking of something. Because of the strength of the East China Sea Dragon clan, it is not only the Western sect that is affected, but also Kunlun Mountain and Yushu Palace at this moment. The dojo of Yuan Shi Tianzun. Tianzun. Master Tai is now in the hands of the Dragon King of the East China Sea. We don't know whether he will live or die. Please allow us to go and beat the Dragon King of the East China Sea to pieces. Yuan Shi Tianzun was dressed in white. Several disciples in front of him had angry faces. One of them was the most angry and said coldly. Most of these disciples are other than the 12 golden immortals, and a few are one of the 12 golden immortals. They are all disciples who have a very good relationship with Master Tai and practice together. When they learned that Master Tai had been suppressed and killed at Chintangguan on the coast of the East China Sea, the monks who had a good relationship with Master Tai quickly gathered together, came to Yuan Shi Tianzun, and complained. After hearing the news, Yuan Shi Tianzun's first thought was to avenge Tai Zhenren and prepare to mobilize his disciples to destroy the entire Four Seas coast. But then he thought about it. Even Tai Zhenren dared to kill him, and combined with judging from the recent strong rise of the East China Sea Dragon clan, there must be an extremely profound background behind the East China Sea Dragon clan. Because of this, Yuan Shi Tianzun never spoke. "No one is allowed to go. No one is allowed to go until the depth of the East China Sea Dragon clan is known. You know, the East China Sea Dragon clan just sent out a turtle prime minister to suppress and kill Tai Zhenren. The Dragon King was so young no one knows the true strength. Yuan Shi Tianzun spoke calmly, and his words caused an uproar in the hearts of all the disciples. Suddenly, many of the disciples who were clamoring to avenge Tai became frightened one by one and did not dare to speak. In fact, it was not just the Western sect, Yuan Shi Tianzun and others who received the news. With the news that Tai Zhenren was suppressed and killed by Prime Minister Turtle, it spread throughout the mythical world. More and more immortal bosses began to set their sights on the Dragon Clan, a race that once declined. There are also many big guys secretly guessing behind the scenes who has the deep background behind the East China Sea Dragon Clan. Otherwise, who gave them the courage to attack Zhenren Tai? And just when the entire mythical world was shaken by the incident of Master Tai, at this moment, the shore of the East China Sea seemed as if nothing had happened. It was as calm as the lake surface that had never changed since ancient times. There were no waves, nor can I afford it. In fact, as the Dragon King, Nao Qing has always been indifferent to all the things that happened in the mythical world. After all, as long as he is strong, he is not afraid of challenges from any force. At this moment, in the East China Sea Dragon Palace. Congratulations, your dragon luck has improved. Your dragon luck has improved by 1 point. Congratulations, your dragon luck has improved. Your dragon luck has improved by 1 point. Congratulations, your dragon luck has improved. Your dragon luck has improved by 1 point. Comma. Congratulations, your dragon luck has improved. Your dragon luck has improved by 1 point. A series of sweet and crisp prompts came. When Nao Qing, who was sitting cross-legged on the dragon bed, heard the words, he was stunned at first, and then happy. Sure enough, he killed Tai Zhenren and flooded Chintangguan successfully spread throughout the mythical world. In these days alone, he had received many system notifications. These prompts alone brought more than 10 points of luck and 1 evolution point to his dragon clan. It is not easy to improve the luck points, but even so, Bao Qing has improved several luck points these days, which makes him more excited and excited. After all, the improvement of luck represents the whole dragon clan. Improvement in strength. Call. Taking a long breath, Nao Qing finally slowly recovered from the 7th level of Dragon God Art training, his eyes shining with a deep light. After these few days of practice, Bao Qing finally broke through the last level of the 7th level of Dragon God Art, successfully mastered all the skills and spells of the 7th level of Dragon God Art, and can do whatever he wants. Use it arbitrarily and reach the peak of existence. However, even so, Bao Qing still failed to break through the final shackles of the 7th level of Dragon God Art. When he reached the 8th level, he clearly felt that his understanding and insights into Dragon God Art had not yet reached the level. The moment when you can break through the shackles. However, he was not in a hurry. After all, the more advanced a method is, the more understanding it requires to practice. It is possible to understand it in an instant, or it may not be possible to understand it even if you work hard for a long time. As Nao Qing stopped practicing, soon, the faint colored light surrounding him slowly disappeared, and then gradually returned to Nao Qing's body, as if it had never existed. However, it can be clearly seen that at this moment, the 5 elements of water, fire, wind, thunder, and earth that filled Duo Qing's body all dissipated, as if they had never existed. Slowly opening his eyes, before Bao Qing could say anything, several hot dragon maids on the side slowly walked forward and gently brought up a handkerchief. Nao Qing took the handkerchief, wiped the sweat on his forehead, and then asked the maid on the side, "Where is Prime Minister Turtle?" As soon as he finished speaking, Prime Minister Gui, who had been waiting for a long time, hurriedly came forward to report, and reported to Nao Qing all the changes in the world during the week of cultivation. Yao Qing nodded slightly. After this week, Sihaiban's combat effectiveness has increased again, and the magnitude is much greater than in the previous 2 weeks. This makes Yao Qing very excited and excited. Not bad, Prime Minister Gui, you did a good job. Nao Qing nodded, very sure of Prime Minister Gui's work. Guisheng was very satisfied to meet the Dragon King. He was a little tired at first, but now he was extremely excited, and all the mental fatigue had dissipated. Wei Chen was able to achieve such excellence because he was cultivated by the Dragon King. Without the Dragon King, there would be no one. Today's Prime Minister Turtle. Prime Minister Turtle said at the end, his eyes were full of sincerity. For Prime Minister Turtle, Dragon King Dao Qing had a favor for him to rebuild. Okay, this Dragon King doesn't like to listen to flattery and the like. Now Seihaiban is developing rapidly and has already laid some foundations. It's time to move on to the next stage. The corner of Bao Qing's mouth curled up slightly. Although Seihaiban's combat effectiveness has improved a lot now, this is far from enough. It needs to continue. The next stage. Prime Minister Gui was stunned and had no idea what Bao Qing was talking about. But before that, we need to wait for a Taoist friend. At this point, the smile on the corner of Bao Qing's mouth became very strong. Fellow Taoist. Prime Minister Turtle was stunned, having no idea what the Dragon King was talking about. At this time, a shrimp soldier ran over quickly and said in a panic, "Dragon King, it's not good. The Taoist guide has come with a few Taoist boys, and they are waiting to see you on the beach of the East China Sea." Introduce the Taoist. Prime Minister Turtle's eyes instantly became gloomy. It was clear that he wanted to cause trouble for the Dragon clan. On the other hand, Dragon King Ao Qing had a playful look on his face. "Prime Minister Gui, don't be nervous. If the Taoist leader wants to take action and cause trouble for us, he will not ask for an audience and will still wait at the beach of the East China Sea." After hearing this, Prime Minister Gui noticed that, at that moment, he admired the Dragon Emperor even more. Could it be that the Dragon Emperor had already guessed that the Taoist would come? That's natural. Let's bring the Taoist to the East China Sea Dragon Palace. Bao Qing stood with his hands behind his back and gave instructions to the shrimp soldier. As a young man who has read countless myths about conferring gods, how could he not expect that the Taoist priest would come to the East China Sea? You must know that during the Great Tribulation of conferring gods, the Taoists who came from the West were really like flies, biting wherever there was a gap. When the Great Tribulation arrived, they took advantage of the situation to win over many Taoists. Go west to them. Later, after many Taoists went to the West, they became bodhisattvas, arhats, and even Buddhas, forming the prototype of Buddhism. Many of them were disciples of Yuan Shi Tianzun and Tongtian leader. The reason why the Taoist came here this time must be to win over them from the East China Sea. In addition, he also came to test the bottom of their East China Sea. As for the Taoist boys under him, death is death. Compared with the rich benefits, it is insignificant and can't be seen at all. Bao Qingzongqiu didn't have the chance to tell the world that he had a very deep background behind the Dragon clan, but he didn't expect that the Taoist would come and act as his microphone. You know, if you want to get along well in this mythical world, a deep background is very important. Dao Qing has already made up who his deep background is. Jia Yin Taoist has a bad reputation in this mythical world, and their Western sect is also sparsely populated. The Dragon King must be careful. Gui Chengxian hurriedly reminded him, fearing that Zhou Qing would fall into the trap of Ji Yin Taoist. No, Taoist reception is just to deliver treasures to this Dragon King. How can you not welcome him? Nao Qing grinned. And while Nao Qing and others were waiting quietly in the East China Sea Dragon Palace, at this moment on the beach of the East China Sea, wearing a white gown, sitting cross-legged on the 12th grade golden lotus of the innate spiritual treasure, the Taoist guide, quietly standing in the air, a pair of curious eyes stared at the shore of the East China Sea. Beside this Taoist, several Taoist boys in white had puzzled faces. Master, this coast of the East China Sea is guarded by the Four Seas Dragon clan. Since the ancient times, after the death of the ancestor dragon, the Four Seas Dragon clan has gradually lost their strength. Now the most powerful dragon master has only 5 claws. The level of a golden dragon. Such a Four Seas Dragon clan, master, you can easily destroy it with just one breath. But why are we standing here, waiting for the Four Seas Dragon clan's reception? One of the Taoist boys couldn't help but said. When Taoist boys like them go to that monster, no monster will be respectful. Among the monsters, the Seihai Dragon clan is not considered powerful, so this makes the Taoist boy very puzzled. The other Taoist boys also nodded heavily when they heard this, with puzzled faces on their faces. Oh, you only know that the Dragon clan has fallen, but have you ever heard that the Dragon clan has been booming recently, and the Dragon King of the East China Sea Dragon clan has evolved into an 8-clawed golden dragon? Moreover, his subordinate Prime Minister Turtle defeated Yuan Shi Tianzun in just one face-to-face meeting his disciple Tai Zhenren. Taoist Jia Yin couldn't help but say, thinking that these Taoist boys really don't know the heights of the world. What? 8-clawed golden dragon. Prime Minister Turtle defeated Master Tai in one meeting. Several Taoist boys were shocked and stopped talking. This time the Holy Lord came here, he also wanted to see the depth of the East China Sea. Having said this, the Taoist guide's eyes flashed with a profound light. If the East China Sea Dragon clan does not have any profound background, this saint I will definitely take this place as my own, but if there is a very profound background behind me. Taoist Jia Yin and Tao Bodhi founded the Western sect in the West before, but they have always been limited by the barren land, poor resources, and scarce talents in the West. However, the coast of the East China Sea is located in the East and has outstanding people. If they can win over or destroy the Dragon clan of the East China Sea, their Western sect will, you can go further. Thinking of this, an imperceptible sneer appeared on the corner of Taoist Jia Yin's mouth. However, just as a few people were thinking, water mist suddenly rose from the sea. Dozens of lobster warriors holding sharp long knives slowly appeared. The leader, Prime Minister Turtle, bowed slightly. Fellow Taoists, you have been waiting for a long time. Wait, Lord Dragon King has been waiting in the East China Sea Dragon Palace for a long time. Please come with me. The moment he saw Prime Minister Gui, Taoist Jia Yin's originally kind eyes suddenly became alert, and the expressions of the Taoist boys beside him also changed slightly. Xuanwu breath. This Prime Minister Turtle actually has the aura of Xuanwu, one of the 4 sacred beasts. Several Taoist boys looked at each other in horror. They had followed the Taoist for many years and were very sensitive to the smell. The face of Taoist Jia Yin also changed slightly. Not only was he surprised that the little turtle Prime Minister had the aura of a holy beast on his body, he was even more surprised that the shrimp soldiers and crab generals beside him turned out to be an evolved species, the pinnacle of shrimp soldiers, the lobster soldiers. If he remembered correctly, there were only a few top-notch beings with dragon blood like the lobster soldiers in the entire seaside. Now he had seen more than a dozen at once. This. He vaguely felt that this East China Sea Dragon clan was not simple. While he was thinking, Prime Minister Turtle looked at a few people who were in a daze and said quickly, how many distinguished guests. Oh, it's okay. The Taoist leader quickly calmed down, and the Taoist boys on the side also quickly recovered their mood. They finally knew why the Holy Lord was so cautious. Anyone who works for the Dragon King of the East China Sea has the aura of the holy beast Xuanwu. This. Puff. Along with the rumble of splashing water, in front of Prime Minister Turtle, the coast of the East China Sea seemed to be cut in half, and a huge road was opened directly. Please. Showing his hand slightly, Prime Minister Gui made a gesture of invitation, while Taoist Jia Yin and several Taoist boys quickly followed behind. When the huge water curtain fell and they completely entered the East China Sea, the Taoist guide and several Taoist boys were shocked to find that what they had just come into contact with was just the tip of the iceberg on the East China Sea. First of all, they saw an extremely large number of martial arts arenas and academies. In these martial arts arenas and academies, the fish spirits, fish monsters, shrimp soldiers and crab generals were all dedicated to practicing and training. Some fish spirits, fish monsters, etc. He even had a breakthrough on the spot. Later, the guide Taoists and Taoist boys noticed many fish spirits and fish monsters that had successfully transformed along the way. All of them were practicing hard, seriously and focused. On the contrary, along the way, Taoist Jia Yin did not see many ordinary fish, ordinary shrimps, etc. Master, why didn't I see a few ordinary fishes? One of the Taoist boys asked with a puzzled face. Although he had never been to the East China Sea before, he had been to other sea areas, so this was the first time he saw a rare common fish. The Taoist guide also looked puzzled. He had been to the shores of the East China Sea before, and the number of ordinary fish was beyond imagination, but now. Prime Minister Turtle did not answer the questions of several people. He would not say that many ordinary fish on the coast of the East China Sea have now transformed and become the fighting force of the 4 seas. In this way, under the leadership of Prime Minister Gui, the Taoist and several Taoist boys arrived in front of the East China Sea Dragon Palace with shock. But soon, Several people who were shocked were even more shocked when they saw the magnificent East China Sea Dragon Palace. They were so surprised that they couldn't say anything. They didn't expect that the East China Sea Dragon Palace was so majestic and magnificent, sacred. Haha, I didn't expect that fellow Taoist Jia Yin would come here. My preparations were a bit too hasty. I hope you don't mind. Just when Jia Yin and others were shocked, Nao Qing slowly appeared, with a heavy expression on his face. Big smile. At the moment when Nao Qing appeared, Taoist Jia Yin clearly felt a strong dragon's power spreading fiercely. At that moment, Taoist Jia Yin's face changed. He didn't expect that the dragon power of the Dragon King of the East China Sea was so terrifying. How could it be? Although he was shocked in his heart, there was no trace of expression on the face of the Taoist leader. This holy lord came here this time. In fact, I just passed by chance and paid a visit. Immediately, the Taoist and several Taoist boys, led by Ao Qing, arrived at the East China Sea Dragon Palace. After exchanging pleasantries, they began to eat the banquet. Soon, a pleasant reminder sounded in Zhou Qing's ears. Congratulations, your dragon luck has improved. By 1 point. Congratulations, your dragon luck has improved. By 1 point. Congratulations, your dragon luck has improved. By 1 point. Congratulations, your dragon luck has improved. By 1 point. Hearing this pleasant reminder, Bao Qing knew deeply that Taoist Jia Yin would definitely be shocked by his East China Sea coast. Otherwise, there would be no systematic reminder. In fact, Bao Qing expected it to be good. While eating the banquet at the Dragon Palace and chatting with Nao Qing, Taoist Yin was extremely shocked in his heart. The reason for the shock was simple, that is, where he led the Taoist, he encountered many lobster soldiers and even many transformed fish monsters along the way. I am afraid no one knows what this means better than him. And more importantly, Taoist Jia Yin was shocked to find that most of the ordinary fish on the East China Sea coast had actually transformed into the fighting force of the East China Sea coast. At first, Taoist Jia Yin still didn't believe it. You must know that it takes a long time and opportunity for a monster to transform. For example, many monsters accidentally absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth and emerge. The most typical one as an example is that after Penghu created the world, the pure energy flew up to the sky and transformed into the 3 great saints, Yuanshi Tianzun, Taisheng Laojun and Tongtian cult leader. It can be said that these people also appeared in form, but their spiritual energy was too powerful, and they directly transformed into top mythological masters. The same is true for the demon clan. They are all attracted by the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, and thus transform. Generally speaking, transformation is extremely difficult, requiring not only spiritual energy but also opportunity. It is precisely for this reason that there are not many powerful monsters in the entire mythical world. But what he couldn't figure out was how the Dragon King of the East China Sea, Yao Qing, was able to transform most of the fish on the coast of the 4 seas. What this means, I'm afraid no one knows it better than him. You know, among the 6 realms, the sea has the most creatures and the richest species. Once everything takes shape, as long as time. Taoist Jia Yin was a little afraid to think about it, and he was even more sure that behind the Dragon King of the East China Sea, Yao Qing, there must be an extremely deep background, a background that he could not provoke. As expected of fellow Taoist Dragon King of the East China Sea, the banquet was so sumptuous that I couldn't even eat it. He gently put down a rare fruit in his hand, and the Taoist leader showed a warm smile, but his eyes sparkled. A trace of imperceptible complexity. The Taoist boys on the side also put down the fruits in their hands, with a flash of shock in their eyes. They have followed Taoist Jia Yin for so long, and their temper is still very clear. Unexpectedly, he actually called himself Taoist. Before, he used the name Shengjun. Obviously, this was to put his position down. In order to entertain fellow Taoists, this Dragon King specially asked the shrimp soldiers and crab generals to pick a lot of rare grapes. I hope fellow Taoists will like them. Although Taoist Jia Yin tried his best to hide his shock, he was still well captured by Ao Qing. Of course, even if he didn't capture it, the system would prompt him. Congratulations, your dragon luck has improved. Your dragon luck has improved by 1 point. Although there was only a 1 point increase in luck points, you can imagine how shocked Taoist Jia Yin was at this moment. Of course, Bao Qing also discovered that entertaining saints can also greatly improve the luck of the dragon clan. But he thought about it carefully. Today's Donghai is no longer the same as before, and it is natural for Taoist Jingyan to have such emotions. Well, I suddenly remembered that there are other things, so I can't stay here any longer. Taoist Jia Yin felt that he couldn't stay in the East China Sea Dragon Palace any longer, so he quickly stood up and said, while talking, Taoist Jia Yin walked to the side. The Taoist boy winked. The Taoist boy understood, nodded heavily, and took out a pagoda several feet long but shining with colorful light from his luggage. This pagoda is a colorful and exquisite pagoda. It is one of the innate magic weapons. I got it by subduing a certain monster. I originally wanted to take it back to the west to find someone who is destined to be with me. I came to the coast of the East China Sea today and felt very speculative, so I thought of giving this thing to you, and asked the Dragon King not to be polite. Taoist Jayin took the Linglong Pagoda, looked at it with some distress, and then said to the Dragon King of the East China Sea. Linglong Pagoda. When Bao Qing heard this, he was immediately stunned. He didn't expect that Taoist Master Jia Yin would be so generous as to directly give him an innate spiritual treasure. It was really an unexpected surprise. However, he quickly realized that he had snatched away Li Jing's luck. He was destined to be destined to the Linglong Pagoda, so it was appropriate for him to receive it from Taoist Master and give it to him at this time. How can this be so embarrassing? Bao Qing deliberately refused to accept the exquisite pagoda that led to the Taoist. This treasure has a spirit. If my guess is correct, this treasure is destined to belong to the Dragon King. Please don't shirk it, the Taoist said and stuffed the exquisite pagoda into Bao Qing's arms. Although it was very painful, Taoist Jayin felt a little excited when he thought of using the exquisite pagoda to indirectly hug someone's thigh. But if he knew that Nao Qing's so-called profound background was all just an act, he would be so angry that he would tear Nao Qing into pieces. Then I, the king, will no longer shirk it. Bao Qing did not shirk anymore and directly put the colorful exquisite pagoda into his bag. Although his face looked calm, he was extremely excited inside. Congratulations, you have obtained the innate spiritual treasure colorful exquisite pagoda. This pagoda is one of the most powerful magic weapons in the Western religion. It can suppress 100,000 demons. Anyone who is not as good as the user will be included in the pagoda and will never be reincarnated. Needless to say, just looking at the attributes of this exquisite pagoda, you can tell how abnormal the power of this exquisite pagoda is. Ahem, I won't force you to stay. Fellow Taoist, please rest assured, I will definitely put in a nice word for you in front of that old man. After coughing softly, Yao Qing said deliberately, and immediately, his eyes fell on Prime Minister Turtle. Prime Minister Turtle, see you off. That old man. Taoist Jayin's eyes lit up when he heard this, and he thought that this Dragon King was really on the road. Although he didn't know who the old man was, he hugged him on his lap. Thinking of this, Taoist Jayin was even more excited. Okay. Yes, we in the West have poor educational resources and are far inferior to those in the East. We will ask the Dragon King to take care of us in the future. That's natural. Bo Qing pretended to understand and nodded repeatedly. Next, the Dragon King of the East China Sea stopped chatting with Nao Qing and left with the Taoist boy with a smile on his face. This time our Western religion is hopeful. Master is indeed a master. He can actually see that there is a very powerful backstage behind the East China Sea Dragon clan. That's right, Master. Although an exquisite pagoda is a big deal, it is really insignificant compared to the connection established with the backstage. Yes, Master is really wise. It's a pity that the poor Taoist Jia Yin doesn't know that the so-called thighs of Nao Qing are just made up at random, with no background at all. If he learns the truth, will he be so angry that he vomits blood? Congratulations, your dragon luck has improved again. It has increased by 1 point. Watching the Taoist guide leave, a pleasant reminder sounded in Yao Qing's ears again. Listening to this reminder, Bao Qing curled up his lips slightly, thinking that this Taoist guide is indeed a man who can do great things. In the future, he will be able to deduce the samanas, found Buddhism, and become the Buddha. Just this method of wooing him will be enough. It can be called a masterpiece. It's a pity that Taoist Jiang is destined to be a waste of magic weapons to win him over. After all, he doesn't have any thick thighs to hold him. If he really did, the situation of the Sea High Dragon clan wouldn't be so miserable. As expected of Lord Dragon King, he actually deceived an innate spiritual treasure, Linglong Pagoda. Now I am more and more impressed by Lord Dragon King's methods. Prime Minister Turtle on the side was almost dumbfounded, and he admired Dragon King Bao Qing even more. Ignoring Prime Minister Turtle, Bao Qing's eyes fell on the shore of the East China Sea not far away. Prime Minister Turtle, the time is almost up. You go and quickly summon the elders of the Dragon Clan. Let's go to a good place. It's time to improve the Four Seas again. The strength of Jibin Shah soldiers and crab generals. Just having the method of cultivation is not enough. Improve your strength. How to improve it? Wyken, go get ready now. Prime Minister Turtle was stunned, but when he thought of all the miracles that Dragon King Yaoking had shown these days, he immediately began to look forward to it, wanting to see how the Four Seas Dragon clan could improve its strength again. Thinking of this, Wei Cheng went to find the elders of the Dragon clan with all his strength. Looking at Prime Minister Gui's leaving figure, Bao Qing grinned. In fact, his next destination is none other than land. However, it is not a land of yin and shang, but those human immortal sword sects and immortal sects. Yes, that's right, humanity's immortal sword sect. After many demon masters on the coast of the East China Sea transformed, Bao Qing was surprised to find that although the strength of these demon masters had increased a lot, their actual combat abilities were completely based on their talents and were realized purely on their own. They had no ability at all. His own fighting methods. If we put it in human language, we have no internal power, but we cannot drive it out. This also greatly limits the combat effectiveness of the demon clan and the entire Four Seas coast. Therefore, after much thought, Bao Qing decided to practice human fighting skills throughout the world, thereby completely improving his combat effectiveness. Among all races, humans are the weakest existence, and the fact that they can rely on their own wisdom to reach the top step by step is enough to show the terror and talent of the human race. Bao Qing was a human in his previous life, and he knew very well that human intelligence was very terrifying. The fighting skills he created were the crystallization of countless wisdom. Once the demon clan has mastered it, and combined with the demon clan's tyrannical body, it will definitely look down on them. You know, among all the races, the human race is the best at creation, while the demon race is the most physically powerful existence. Just imagine how terrifying it would be if his shrimp soldiers and crab generals could master the human 18 dragon subduing palms, the Dugu 9 swords, and the Shushan swordsmanship. Not to mention the heavenly soldiers and generals, they are all the gods and goddesses recorded in the immortal books, can also be easily killed. The only thing that Bao Qing doesn't know much now is whether these immortal sword sects, after taking over, can evolve like the water on the coast of the East China Sea and become infinitely powerful. It has to be said that Prime Minister Gui was very efficient. Ao Guang came with the elders of the Dragon clan without letting Bao Qing wait for long. The elders of the Dragon clan had naturally heard about the reception of the exquisite pagoda by the Taoist. Each and every Titus was excited, and their admiration for Bao Qing was even stronger to an unknown degree. Dragon King, where are we going this time? The third Prince Ao Bing chuckled, with a smile on his face. In these days, he has not relaxed at all, constantly improving his strength, just to be able to repay Bao Qing's kindness. That's right, Dragon King, where are we going this time? My hands are itching, Ao Guang said and clenched his fists. The place we are going to this time is Shushan. Bao Qing grinned slightly. In the list of gods, the exercises that Yin Xiniang learned were inherited from Shushan, and the sword-controlling skills of Shushan were particularly outstanding among the many exercises, famous. It is worth mentioning that at this time, Shushan was far from becoming the famous Shushan sword sect in the future. There were only some Taoist priests practicing in seclusion here. However, even so, many Shushan Taoist priests still developed their own system. There was the prototype of Shushan's sword-playing skills. Just imagine, all the soldiers and crab generals from all over the world can control the weapons in their hands, fly with their swords, and kill the enemy's head from thousands of miles away. What a terrifying combat power that is. It's not that Bao Qing hasn't considered other cultivation sects, but compared to Shushan's sword-controlling skills, other techniques are relatively weaker, so it would be better to start from Shushan. Moreover, going to Shushan and Boqing has another purpose, and that is the heart of Pengu hidden in Shushan. Shu Mountain. Prime Minister Gui was stunned. He had never heard of such a sect. The land of Bashu, Shushan. Looking from a distance, you can clearly see a huge fairy mountain, floating quietly over the entire Bashu, as if flying in the air. It is Shu Mountain. Shushan, as one of the 36 immortal mountains in the human world and the 72 cave heavenly blessed land, has always been famous. Every year, countless monks try to set foot on Shushan, go to Shushan to learn from their masters, and practice peerless skills, thus flying into immortality. As famous as the Shushan Mountain, there are the Qianyuan Mountain Golden Light Cave of Tai Junjun under Yuanshi Tianzun, the Wulong Mountain Yunxiao Cave of Manjusri Guangfa Tianzun, who is also the later Manjushri Bodhisattva, and Yun Zongzi's Zongnan Mountain Jade Cave. Pillar Cave, Princess Longji's Phoenix Mountain Dupo Palace, Empress Shiji's Skull Mountain White Bone Cave. Of course, in addition to these fairy mountain sects, there are many other cave heaven blessed places, such as Kunlun Mountain and Penglai Fairy Island. In short, in this Yin and Shang era, there were many monks among the human race, and everyone had the goal of becoming an immortal. At this moment, on the top of Shushan Mountain, a majestic immortal cultivation sword sect is located here. Countless Taoist priests are practicing hard on the top of Shushan Mountain, striving to ascend. Call. At this time, the sound of long exhalation came, and several white-haired Taoists slowly opened their eyes. Just as they were feeling the vitality of heaven and earth, suddenly, the entire sky became dim, and there was a heavy darkness. Covered everything. Master, Master, look. Look, Master, look where you are. At this moment, as the dark clouds rolled down hard, the entire Shu Mountain suddenly became dim, without any light, and nothing could be seen. The next moment, among the dark clouds, several figures slowly emerged, exuding a strong aura, suppressing the surroundings and faintly shaking the 9 heavens. The owner of the figure is none other than Prime Minister Gui, Nao Qing and the Donghai Dragon clan. After Nao Qing gave the order, the entire Donghai Dragon clan moved quickly and came here. In fact, this was the first time that Nao Qing had seen Shushan during the Yin and Shang dynasties. What he didn't expect was that although the Shushan sword sect had not developed at this time, it had already taken some embryonic forms and had some majestic palaces. Looking from a distance, it is very spectacular. Under these palaces, countless Taoist priests dressed in white gathered here to practice. When they sensed the arrival of Bao Qing, they subconsciously raised their heads with surprise on their faces. They did not expect that someone would come to Bashu place. I didn't expect that Shushan at this time has already taken its initial shape. The corner of Bao Qing's mouth curled up slightly. Originally, he was worried that Shushan had not yet been established and his trip was in vain. But now it seems that he came at the right time. Who are you? While Nao Qing was thinking about it, a loud sound of Lu Yiji sounded without warning. Among the Shushan disciples, a Taoist priest who was a little gray in grade held a sharp sword in his hand and looked at Nao Qing coldly. Asked sternly, "Don't you know that our Bashu mountain is a gathering place for monks?" The most annoying interruption to others. As soon as he finished speaking, all the monks pulled out the swords in their hands with a swipe. The strong murderous aura immediately centered on them and spread to all directions, shocking all directions. Feeling the aura released by the monks, Bo Qing was startled. He didn't expect that many of the monks were quite strong, reaching the limit of human beings. Some were even as powerful as Li Jing of Chintangguan himself. No wonder there are so many monks gathered in Shushan. The corner of Bao Qing's mouth curled up slightly, and before Prime Minister Gui could take action, a pair of dragon eyes suddenly flashed. Just as he flashed, a powerful aura that was many times more terrifying than all the monks combined, suddenly spread fiercely around Zhou Qing, and directly pressed hard on those monks. Thump, thump, thump. Countless Shushan monks only felt an irresistible and powerful force crushing them down. It was as if the top of Mount Tai were pressing down. Let alone breathing, even ordinary shaking of the limbs was extremely difficult. Click, click, click. Almost all the monks could not bear such terrifying pressure. Amidst the sound of bones breaking, they all knelt on the ground with pain on their faces. These monks were all shocked at this moment, with faces full of disbelief. Who is it who suppressed them to the point of being unable to move with just one look? Bao Qing was too lazy to talk nonsense with these monks. He came to Shushan just for the purpose of practicing Shushan and Pengu's heart. If he remembered correctly, he thought that after the creation of the world in the ancient times, the dead body turned into mountains and rivers, and its beating heart turned into the cave heaven and blessed land of Shushan. How could you give such a good thing to others? Prime Minister Turtle. Bao Qing shrugged his shoulders and glanced at Prime Minister Gui beside him. Prime Minister Turtle was the roundworm in Nao Qing's belly, so he naturally knew what Nao Qing was talking about. When the body flashed, he directly led several elders of the dragon clan and started to move their Tibetan scriptures in full view of the monks. The collection of books in the pavilion, the elixirs in the alchemy room, and the classics. These will be relied upon to improve the combat power of the entire East China Sea coast in the future. Prime Minister Turtle is very careful when doing things. The monks were very angry when they saw that the practice experience they had written was moved away by others, but they also knew that with their strength, they could not compete with the guy who suppressed them with just one look. Confrontation. Soon, Prime Minister Turtle and others emptied all the books, elixirs in the alchemy room, and classics and put them into their bags. Seeing that Prime Minister Gui had finished his work, Bao Qing grinned and took out an exquisite pagoda in the colorful light. Receive. These Shushan monks can still guide many of the spirits of their demon clan. The Linglong pagoda in Bao Qing's hand suddenly burst into bright golden light. The next moment, the Linglong pagoda directly covered the monks in Shushan, and under the golden light, they were directly included in the Linglong pagoda. Soon, the entire Shu mountain was empty without a single person. All the monks were taken into the Linglong pagoda by Zhou Qing. Not bad. Bao Qing nodded with satisfaction. With these Shushan monks from the human race, the combat effectiveness of the demon race will inevitably increase. After the matter was settled, Nao Qing waved his hand, preparing to throw away the entire Shu mountain and take away Pengu's heart. Suddenly, 5 golden lights illuminated the world, and a man wearing a golden battle armor holding 5 extremely sharp red spears, the Shushan Heavenly General, appeared without warning and stabbed directly at Nao Qing, carrying a strong murderous aura. We are the heavenly generals of Shushan who guard Shushan, the blessed land of cave heaven. Who are you? How dare you attack Shushan? The voice of the Shushan heavenly general was loud and exciting, resounding throughout the entire Shushan mountain. Shushan heavenly general. Bao Qing frowned, and then he remembered that many cave heavens and blessed places were protected by mountain gods and heavenly generals. These 5 Shushan heavenly generals were obviously guarding Shushan, and he could clearly feel the strength of these Shushan heavenly generals. Not lowly, at least at the level of a quasi-Deluo Jinxian. Prime Minister Turtle was about to take action when Nao Qing on the side shook his head and stopped. Prime Minister Turtle, I haven't taken action for a long time. So what about the Shushan heavenly general? I will destroy him directly. After saying that, in the bright golden light, Bao Qing transformed directly. If he didn't transform, then when he transformed, the strong golden light immediately wrapped around Nao Qing's body, and the powerful dragon's power suddenly spread to the surroundings with Nao Qing as the center, stirring up excitement. Covering the entire Shu mountain. The originally dim Shushan mountain suddenly shone like daylight. A huge dragon body of more than 1,000 feet appeared in an instant and appeared in the sky above Shushan mountain, covering the entire sky above Shushan mountain. Crackling. At this time, several tribulation thunders happened to arrive, which made the huge dragon body of the 8-clawed golden dragon look so huge, terrifying and shocking. And at the moment when Nao Qing transformed into the 8-clawed Hunyuan Yu 5 elements subduing tribulation dragon, the 5 Shushan heavenly generals couldn't help but stop in their tracks. The 8-clawed Hunyuan Yu 5 elements subduing tribulation dragon. The dragon of thunder tribulation. No wonder he has the confidence to break into Shu mountain. I remember that the 8-clawed Hunyuan Yu 5 elements subduing tribulation dragon is a top-notch 8-clawed golden dragon. I never expected that I would be lucky enough to meet it. HMPH, so what, the 8-clawed Hunyuan Yu 5 elements subduing tribulation dragon. With the joint efforts of our 5 Shushan heavenly generals, it's just a small thunder tribulation dragon. The generals in Shushan were talking a lot. They have been guarding Shushan for many years, and what kind of monsters they have not seen. Although the appearance of the 8-clawed Hunyuan Yu 5 elements subduing tribulation dragon shocked them, it was only a shock. Superior. Following the order from the leading Shushan heavenly general, the 5 Shushan heavenly generals launched a swift and fierce attack on the 8-clawed golden dragon of Yao Qing from different angles. Although the Shushan heavenly general was like a giant under the huge body of Yao Qing as small as an ant. Ao Guang, Prime Minister Gui and others on the dark clouds were all a little anxious at this moment. All of these mountain guardian generals are extremely powerful, and among the many mountain guardian generals, the Shushan heavenly general of Shushan is the most powerful. Ordinary gods would not dare to provoke them. If the Dragon King is defeated by them, it will be an extremely huge loss to the entire dragon clan. But soon, Ao Guang and Prime Minister Gui could not help but feel relieved when they thought of the great strength of Dragon King Yao Qing. Snort. 5th level thunder tribulation. Bao Qing didn't even bother to look. The thunder running around him instantly turned into a series of terrifying thunder tribulations, which directly hit the several Shushan god generals who were rushing towards them at a very fast speed. Wherever the terrifying thunderstorm passed, there was a sharp whooshing sound along the way, which was very terrifying. In the distance, the Shu mountain that was shaken by the thunder tribulation faintly shook and shook violently. However, those Shu mountain heavenly generals could clearly feel the powerful and terrifying power of the thunder tribulation even from a distance. For a moment, they all looked horrified. They didn't expect that this thunder disaster was so powerful. Boom boom boom. Thunder roared, and 5 rays of light illuminated the dim sky like daylight. At the same time, the 5 Shushan heavenly generals were directly hit by the 5 thunder tribulations. In an instant, they turned into scorched earth and died. Can't die anymore. HMPH, that's all. Bao Qing shrugged his shoulders. He didn't expect that the Shushan heavenly general would be so weak. He died after just one encounter. But when he thought about it carefully, what happened to him was a thunder tribulation after all. Facing the thunder tribulation, many gods were too late to dodge, let alone fight against it. The battle started quickly and ended quickly. In just a blink of an eye, Ao Qing easily solved the battle. Ao Guang, Prime Minister Turtle and the former Dragon King of the East China Sea, on the side, is still looking in surprise and horror, because the moment the thunder tribulation fell, they all felt like they were out of their minds. Fortunately, the thunder tribulation did not fall on them. Otherwise they would not be able to imagine their own misery. As expected of Lord Dragon King. Yes, you are worthy of being the Dragon King. The battle was resolved so easily. Yes, but this is the first time I've seen Lord Dragon King's 8-clawed golden dragon. Yes, it's my first time too, but I have to say, the appearance of the 8-clawed golden dragon is really shocking. The elders of the Dragon Clan were talking a lot with smiles on their faces. The stronger the Dragon King is, the more excited and happy they are. Congratulations, your dragon luck has improved. By 1 point. Congratulations, your dragon luck has improved. By 1 point. Congratulations, your dragon luck has improved. By 1 point. A series of sweet reminders came over, and now Qing nodded as he was used to it. He said to himself that this trip to Shushan was not in vain. The Shushan general who had just been killed was not in vain. He was so angry for himself so quickly. Lots of dragon luck. But soon, now Qing's face became solemn, and a pair of dragon eyes glanced down coldly. The battle seemed to be far from over. Array up. Tai Immortal Slaying Formation. It turned out that just when he was thinking, all of a sudden, the monks who were not in Shu Mountain at the bottom of Shu Mountain all controlled the flying swords in their hands, and the flying immortals came with the swords. From a distance, there were more than 100 of them. The Shushan monk who was leading the formation had gray hair and was surrounded by countless flying swords. It was obvious that his swordsmanship had already reached the level of the legendary 10,000 swords returning to the sect. As soon as he finished speaking, more than 100 Shushan monks immediately took action, controlling the flying swords in unison. The flying swords of the operators formed a huge prototype, and actually struck directly towards the huge dragon body of Zhou Qing. I am Qingwei, the first-generation leader of Shushan. I guard Shushan and have been received by the Emperor of Heaven. Who are you? How dare you touch Shushan? The speed of the flying sword licked the leaves very fast, and was sometimes mixed with a strong kendo energy. It also faintly suppressed the surroundings. Unfortunately, it could not suppress the dragon's power. With just a flick of the dragon's claw, the terrifying flying sword flew away with a clang, as if it had never existed. The first-generation leader of Shushan. Bao Qing remembered that when Shushan established the sect, the first leader successfully ascended to immortality, was received by the Emperor of Heaven, and then guarded Shushan. Unexpectedly, he would see him today. Just right. Bao Qingzang was worried that he didn't have anyone powerful to help him improve the combat power of his shrimp soldiers and crab generals. With Qingwei in hand, I'm afraid he could solve his problem instantly. At that moment, a colorful exquisite pagoda appeared again in the dragon's claws. It is the innate spiritual treasure that Taoist Yin gave to Ao Qing. Receive. As soon as the exquisite pagoda of innate spiritual treasures appeared, Qingwei, who was thinking about how to kill the giant dragon with a body of more than 1,000 feet, suddenly changed his expression, as if he felt the difference of this innate spiritual treasure. Oops! Get out of here quickly. Unfortunately, by the time he fully reacted, the exquisite pagoda had already slowly flown out. In just a few breaths, it had grown longer and larger, from the size of an arm to more than 10 feet, more than 100 feet, and more than 1,000 feet. The size is 10 feet. At this moment, there are many Shushan monks imprisoned in the Linglong Pagoda. They are all pulling at the windows, trying to escape. Unfortunately, under the powerful suppression power of the Linglong Pagoda, their escape is just a luxury. The next moment, the Linglong Pagoda bloomed with extremely bright light, and the flying swords of Qingwei and others were directly sucked into it, and Qingwei and others were also sucked in immediately, as if they had never existed. The Linglong Pagoda returned, and Bao Qing chuckled, turning back into a human form. The battle started quickly and ended even faster. 100,000 Shushan monks and 5 Shushan heavenly generals were directly killed by Bao Qing and suppressed in the Linglong Pagoda. So scary. Congratulations, your dragon luck has improved. By 1 point. Congratulations, your dragon luck has improved. By 1 point. Congratulations, your dragon luck has improved. By 1 point. A pleasant reminder sounded in his ears again. Bao Qing was stunned at first, and then happy. He didn't expect that it would be so easy to improve the luck value of the Dragon Clan. In just a few breaths, it actually increased by 4 points again. Receive. Ignoring the voice in his ears, Nao Qing directly recited a spell. After a moment, the exquisite pagoda, which was more than 1,000 feet in size, shrank quickly and returned to the palm of Nao Qing. Looking at the exquisite pagoda in his hand, Ao Qing grinned slightly. The Shushan monks in the Linglong Pagoda alone are enough to greatly increase the combat power of his soldiers and generals from all over the world. However, the only troublesome thing is the loyalty of those monks. And just when he was thinking this way, a pleasant reminder suddenly sounded without warning. The innate spiritual treasure colorful exquisite pagoda in your hand can allocate evolution points. Do you want to do so? After distribution, the innate spiritual treasure 7-colored exquisite pagoda in your hand will evolve into the 9-color exquisite pagoda, which can suppress any opponent who is lower than the user's moral standards. At the same time, it can increase the opponent's loyalty to 100% and become the user's slave. When he saw the prompt, Bao Qing was first surprised and then stunned. He didn't expect that the system was so considerate that it even guessed his doubts and reminded him in a timely manner. When I got the Linglong Pagoda from Taoist Jia Yin, there was no hint of evolution points. But it has to be said that after the evolution of this innate spiritual treasure, the 7-colored exquisite pagoda, it is no less powerful than the Shan Sheji Qi luck map. One can turn others into his own slaves, and the other can seize other people's luck. Both are extremely counterproductive. God's magic weapon. It's a pity that such a heaven-defying magic weapon is now his. At the moment, Bao Qing directly allocated the evolution points to the innate spiritual treasure colorful exquisite pagoda. It just so happened that many Shushan monks in the pagoda needed to be used by him. It was naturally best to become his slaves. Without hesitation, Yao Qing directly chose yes. After a while, a pleasant reminder sounded. Congratulations, you have allocated 1 evolution point to the innate spiritual treasure colorful exquisite pagoda. Congratulations, your 7-colored exquisite pagoda has evolved into the 9-colored exquisite pagoda. Any enemy sucked into this pagoda can become the user's slave. Hearing the melodious prompt, Zhou Qing was extremely excited. Before he could study how to use the 9-colored exquisite pagoda, the melodious prompt sounded again. It has been detected that there are 4,121 Shushan monks in the 9-colored exquisite pagoda in your hand, including one who has ascended to immortality. Do you want to turn them all into your slaves? After becoming your slaves, their loyalty will be forcibly increased to 100%, and they will always obey your orders. They cannot be changed or cancelled. After hearing this prompt, Yao Qing chose yes, without hesitation. Sure enough, the next moment, another pleasant reminder sounded. Congratulations, Qingwei, the first-generation head of Shushan, has increased his loyalty to you. It has increased to 100 points. He has become your human slave. Congratulations, Elder Shushan's loyalty to you has increased. It has increased to 100 points. He has become your human slave. Congratulations, Elder Shushan. Congratulations, Elder Shushan. Amid the pleasant reminder, Zhou Qing was extremely excited. These people had all become his slaves, and many things were simply saved. As expected of evolution points, they were so terrifying. However, Nao Qing was excited now, but she didn't show it. Instead, she coughed softly. At this time, the East China Sea Dragon Clan and Turtle Prime Minister and others had calmed down from the shocking battle just now. Their eyes were full of shock and horror. It was hard to imagine that their East China Sea Dragon King was actually so powerful. His eyes fell on the empty Shushan Mountain, and in a flash of light, he landed directly on the top of Shushan Mountain. After all, it is one of the blessed places in the cave. Just standing on the top of this mountain, Yao Qing can clearly feel the gentle fragrance coming from Shushan, which is very refreshing. And he could clearly feel that waves of powerful spiritual power were rapidly gathering into his limbs and bones, washing all parts of his limbs and bones, as well as all the surrounding acupuncture points and channels. Although it was many times inferior to his East China Sea Dragon Palace, it was still a holy land for cultivation. If I remember correctly, the heart of Penghu is in Shu Mountain. Nao Qing grinned, and a strong dragon's power spread directly from him to the surroundings. There was a clicking sound, and a huge gap appeared directly in front of Nao Qing. Nao Qing did not hesitate and flew directly into it along the gap. I think that Shushan was once one of the passages. During the exploration of many Shushan disciples in later generations, they discovered that after Penghu created the world, his heart, Penghu's heart, turned into Shushan. If you get Penghu's heart, you can get Penghu. The bloodline, the essence of Penghu. Of course, many demons and monsters have come to Shushan to explore, hoping to find Penghu essence and Penghu bloodline, but they have found nothing. I'm afraid that only he, a time traveler, knows about the place of Penghu Jingyuan and Penghu's heart. While he was thinking, the scene in front of him began to become broader, and thick and huge blood vessels appeared. These blood vessels crisscrossed and finally connected at the last place. That place is still beating violently, making a thumping sound, and every time it makes a thud, the whole place shakes and trembles violently. This is it, Penghu's heart. Bao Qing's eyes lit up, and he thought that it was indeed the case. Penghu's heart was in Shushan. Even in the distance, he could clearly feel that a special power was quietly dormant, and this power seemed to have witnessed the creation of the world and was very ancient. Penghu's heart. Penghu's heart. Prime Minister Gui and others who were following Nao Qing were shocked when they heard this, their eyes flashing with horror. Who doesn't know that the current mythical world was created when Penghu created the world? And Penghu is also the top master in the mythical world. His breath is transformed into the 3 saints, and his blood is transformed into the 12 ancestral witches. One can imagine how terrifying and defiant this person is. And his heart is dormant here. Once the Dragon Clan gets it, what a heaven-defying opportunity it will be. Ignoring the surprise of Prime Minister Turtle and others, Bao Qing curled his lips slightly and cautiously approached Penghu's heart. At the same time, his hands made transformation gestures, always alert to the dangers around him and any disturbance, he will react. No one can guarantee what will happen to Penghu's heart, so it's better to be cautious. Prime Minister Turtle and others also carefully took out their weapons one by one, and even Ao Guang and others moved slightly so that Dragon King Nao Qing could get closer. This was not because they were afraid, but if there was any unpredictable danger, they can sacrifice themselves for the Dragon King immediately. Chapter 51. The Dragon King survives, but this is all the hope for the Dragon Clan of the East China Sea. They must not make any mistakes. Boom, boom, boom. Penghu's heart beat rapidly, like the heart of a giant. It is unimaginable that even after so long since the creation of the world, Penghu's heart is still beating. One can imagine how powerful and heaven-defying Pangu was in front of him. While I was thinking about it, Pangu's heart was already in front of me. This is an extremely huge heart. Each beating blood vessel is as thick as an adult. Looking at it from a distance, it is very shocking. Bao Qing quickly noticed that in the beating heart of Pangu, there was a faint golden brilliance flickering, as if some mysterious power was operating within it. The essence of Pangu. The essence of Pangu's heart. Bao Qing recognized this mysterious power at a glance, and took a deep breath. He really wanted to know how he would be strengthened once he obtained Pangu's essence, and this was also his biggest purpose in coming to Shushan. Thinking of this, Bao Qing cautiously stretched out his hand to explore the essence of Pangu. At first, his hand didn't feel anything, but soon he clearly felt that a faint coolness moved quickly in the palm of his hand. Stand up. This coolness also brought extremely powerful power. In an instant, it was injected into Nao Qing's limbs and bones, making Nao Qing clearly feel that his body was undergoing some special and violent changes. Congratulations, you have obtained Pangu's essence. Have you absorbed all of Pangu's essence? Suddenly, a sweet prompt came. Bao Qing was stunned for a moment, and then showed a thick smile. Unexpectedly, what he saw in front of him was none other than the essence of Pangu's essence, Pangu's heart. Without hesitation, Yao Qing chose yes. And the moment he chose yes, the power that was originally strengthening and improving him became much stronger in an instant. The bright brilliance in Pangu's heart also seemed to be washed away and disappeared in an instant. Became extremely dim. This feeling of increasing strength was so wonderful that I closed my eyes in enjoyment and immediately sat cross-legged with my legs, escaping into a special state of practice. In this state of practice, Nao Qing can clearly feel that his bones and blood are undergoing extremely drastic transformations. It can even be said that this is an extremely wonderful process of rebirth and blood exchange. Bao Qing believed that if he transformed at this moment, the changes would be even more obvious. I don't know how long it took, but when Nao Qing opened his eyes again, the Pangu essence in Pangu's heart in front of him had completely dried up, as if it had never existed, and there were obvious bruises on his arms. The color, these green and purple colors, are all over the whole body of Zhou Qing, which is very spectacular. Although Pangu's heart is still beating at this moment, it is obvious that the beating amplitude of Pangu's heart is not so fast, and it feels very slow. Is this the power of absorbing the essence of Pangu? Nao Qing felt it for a moment, and felt that his body had become a lot stronger, but he didn't know exactly where he had become stronger. However, it doesn't mean that Guang and others who came with him can't feel it. This aura, could it be that Lord Dragon King evolved into an 8-clawed mutant dragon? Guang seemed to suddenly feel something. Mutations. Isn't the topmost existence among the 8-clawed golden dragons the Thunder Dragon? Yes, isn't the topmost being of the 8-clawed golden dragon the Thunder Dragon? As soon as Guang finished speaking, all the elders of the dragon clan were extremely surprised, with disbelief on their faces, and they started talking about it. Mutated dragon. This is the first time they have heard of it. At first, when I felt the Dragon King's aura, I was a little unsure, but now I am basically certain that this aura is the aura of the mutated dragon. In fact, there is something superior to the multi-clawed golden dragon. The existence on the golden dragon is the mutated dragon. These mutant dragons accidentally mutated in some places during the evolution process and became very powerful. Therefore, theoretically, the mutant dragons are superior to the golden dragons. Now the Dragon King has absorbed the essence of Pangu and produced its normal to have a mutation. Guang analyzed slowly. In fact, the name of his mutant dragon was only known from those ancient books. In the prehistoric era, there was once an 11-clawed mutant dragon, and its strength was as strong as the ancestral dragon of the 12-clawed golden dragon. Hearing this, the entire East China Sea Dragon clan fell silent and looked at Bao Qing with burning eyes, trying to determine whether their Dragon King had really mutated and gained greater strength. Yes, I can feel that I have evolved into an 8-clawed mutant dragon, and I am even more powerful than before. Bao Qing took a deep breath, but he didn't expect the power of Pangu's spirit to be so terrifying. However, he also felt that he did not absorb all of Pangu's essence, but only a very small part of it. Most of the rest was automatically stored by his body. Obviously, when he after becoming stronger, the power of Pangu's spirit can still be used. Lord Dragon Emperor, it's not good. It seems that the movement here has alarmed the surrounding mountain gods and lands. Now many powerful mountain gods, with the divine soldiers and generals guarding the lands of all parties, are rushing here. It seems that they want to conquer the land. We hang here. At this moment, a shrimp soldier ran in a panic and said nervously. Hearing this, Bao Qing did not show any fear for a long time, but was very excited. Just in time, we can test the power of this 8-clawed mutant dragon. In fact, even he could not have imagined that there were so many mountain gods, land gods, and mountain-protecting generals around Shu Mountain. As soon as they heard that Shu Mountain was in trouble, they rushed there. It is worthy of being treated like a paradise in heaven. If it were an ordinary mountain, I'm afraid it wouldn't be treated like this, right? While Zhou Qing was thinking about it, a mountain guard with the most murderous aura in the distance spoke slowly. Who are you? How dare you break into Shu Mountain and seize the spiritual lifeline of Shu Mountain? We, the mountain guard, God will never allow you to leave here. After that, the mountain guarding general suddenly waved the spear in his hand, and his whole body became stronger and bigger in an instant, and the other mountain guarding generals did not hesitate at all, and they all became extremely huge one by one, as big as a giant mountain. As for the mountain gods and earthlings, they also released spells one by one, used their most powerful moves, and greeted Bao Qing unceremoniously, at a very fast speed. It can be clearly seen that they have formed a dense network of firepower with these moves. I am afraid that no one can escape from their dense firepower network. It is very terrifying. Even in the distance, Ao Guang, the former dragon king of the East China Sea, could clearly feel the terrifying power of the thousands of mountain guardian generals and mountain gods who acted together, and he was faintly breathless. The same was true for the shrimp soldiers and crab generals who came with them. Their eyes flashed with deep shock and fear. They felt that their bodies were severely suppressed by a powerful force. Not to mention breathing, even shaking their limbs was very painful, difficult. They can even clearly feel that the combined blow of these people is at least as strong as the peak of Daluo Jingxian. I believe that any immortal who comes will be crushed in their hands. Thinking of this, Ao Guang and others were about to take a step forward and wanted to help Nao Qing resist the mountain guard. However, they only heard Nao Qing smile faintly and waved his hand. Don't worry, little mountain guard. That's all. As soon as he finished speaking, he saw Ao Qing transforming instantly in the bright golden light. The strong power of the Dragon King spread out in an instant, faintly shaking the sky, and even summoned dark clouds and heavy rain. The moment they transformed into green bodies, the mountain guarding heavenly generals clearly felt a powerful force spreading around them instantly. They wanted to block it, but found that the force was extremely powerful and actually surrounded them. All the murderous aura was dissipated. As for the spells and skills they released, they were like fists hitting cotton, as if they had never existed. No, it's impossible. They actually blocked our offensive with just the power of the dragon. Oh, what a powerful dragon. He actually blocked our offensive with just his dragon power. The face of one of the mountain guarding generals changed slightly. The one on the Shu Mountain is not a demon dragon at all, but a real dragon king. Hurry, let's go up quickly, don't let him complete his transformation. Once transformed into a golden dragon, we are no match for him. As soon as the mountain guarding general finished his words, the other mountain guarding generals reacted from the deep shock. Can you not be shocked? They, the mountain guarding heavenly generals, all took action together. At least the immortals at the peak of Daluo Jingxian realm dared to resist the technique, but they were only forcefully dispersed by the other party's dragon power. What does this mean? I'm afraid no one knows better than them. But now when they heard the voice of one of the mountain guardian generals, the other mountain guardian generals suddenly realized. The dragon power of the Dragon Emperor is a top-notch existence. It suppresses all 5 elements. It is natural that their rapid offensive will not be effective. And just as they were thinking, a powerful and resounding roar resounded without warning within 9 days, and in the bright golden light, Bao Qing's whole body changed rapidly. First, his limbs began to grow violently longer and larger. In just a few breaths, he turned into a body of more than 1,000 feet, and then his head turned into a dragon's head. Amidst the spread of terrifying dragon power, a huge dragon body with a body of more than 1,000 feet suddenly appeared in front of the mountain guardian generals. There was a faint thunder package entangled in it, and there were countless black clouds. Stepping under the dragon's feet. With the appearance of the giant dragon, the entire sky became dim in an instant, and even the sun was blocked by the giant dragon's huge body. The mountain-protecting gods, who were originally as big as mountains and gave people the impression of being extremely huge, were now as small as ants in front of Zhou Qing, giving people an unimaginable feeling of shock. Click, click, click. Suddenly, with a sound of shattering like toothache, the originally shiny golden Owlking was instantly covered with huge purple lines all over the body, flashing with the strange light of purple gold, and even more showing that Owlking the difference. What is this? Purple gold dragon. The mountain guarding generals couldn't help but stop their attack, their eyes full of horror. They have even seen a lot of five-clawed golden dragons, but this is the first time they have seen one covered in purple and gold like this. No, this is probably a mutated purple golden dragon that has absorbed the essence of Pengu. It is even more powerful than the previous 8-clawed golden dragon. One of the more knowledgeable mountain guarding generals said with a frown. Mutated purple gold dragon. Mutated dragon. What kind of monster did we encounter? The generals who guarded the mountain were horrified. Ao Guang, the former dragon king of the East China Sea, was also shocked. Many elders of the dragon clan saw this for the first time. A mutant dragon. To be precise, it was a purple gold mutant dragon. It is rumored that there are mutated dragons above the golden dragon, and the one that the dragon king made green is the purple gold mutated dragon, right? Prime Minister Turtle put his hands behind his back and took a deep breath. Yes, that's right, the purple gold mutated dragon. Ao Guang nodded heavily, and he could naturally guess that this was a super top existence that Bao Qing evolved again after absorbing the Pengu essence. Now, let me try the power of this 8-clawed Hunyuan tribulation reducing mutated purple gold dragon. And while everyone was talking about it, Bao Qing, who was more than 1,000 feet tall, sighed slightly and found that his various data were soaring crazily, to a level that he could hardly imagine. The next moment, Ao Qing shook his huge dragon body and rushed straight towards the generals protecting the mountain. Wherever he passed, there were bursts of calamity thunder and the howling wind. The few mountain guarding generals didn't even bother to react, and were immediately grabbed by the sharp dragon claws and turned into fluffy blood mist flying in the sky. They couldn't die anymore. Until their death, the mountain guarding generals didn't know how Ao Qing acted. They only felt that it was as fast as lightning, and then they lost their lives. The speed of the process was so fast that the mountain guarding generals were killed without even reacting. It's hard to imagine that a body as big as 1,000 feet like that of Ao Qing could be so flexible and agile in movement, which gave people a shocking feeling. However, those mountain guarding generals are all masters at the quasi-golden immortal level. Relying on their large numbers, the leading mountain guarding general shouted loudly, "Heavenly General, kill!" As soon as he finished speaking, the mountain guarding heavenly generals actually gathered together in a tacit understanding, and used unified killing movements, directly striking at the mountain guarding heavenly generals, and killed them at a very fast speed. Boom! At some point in the sky, an extremely huge spear appeared in an instant, carrying an extremely strong murderous aura. It slashed down at the huge dragon body of Ao Qing, trying to cut it in half. From a distance, Ao Qing could clearly feel the powerful murderous intent. However, in Ao Qing's eyes, the murderous intent was only a little stronger. No more time wasted. Bao Qing chuckled, his huge body started to shake, and suddenly 2 dragon claws struck out fiercely like a high five. His seemingly ordinary movements, but at the moment when he high-fived, it was as if martial arts masters had made a Tathagata palm. Looking from a distance, it was extremely shocking. The next moment, as he took this shot, countless phantoms of giant dragons more than 1,000 feet appeared in the entire sky. The sky was overwhelming and filled with black clouds everywhere. And these giant dragons made the same move as him. The same action of shooting the dragon's claws. Wanlong Chaozong. Immediately afterwards, countless huge dragon claws fell down like the top of Mount Tai. Those dragon claws are extremely numerous and extremely dense. Each dragon claw is even as big as several mountains. Looking from a distance, you can even clearly see the clear lines and scales on the dragon claws. At this moment, the generals who guarded the mountain clearly felt as if the whole sky had collapsed, and the huge pressure was suppressing them. It was difficult for them to mobilize and operate their minds, as if they had never existed. Boom 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 boom. Countless dragon claws fell, and in an instant, the entire land of Bashu was razed to the ground, and all the heavenly generals who were protecting the mountain were severely shattered by the dragon claws into a puff of blood mist. The strong smell of blood spread and enveloped the entire Bashu region was filled with a disgusting stench. When the shadow of the giant dragon in the sky gradually dissipated, Yao Qing looked at the razed Bashu below and grinned. For a moment, he felt a little shocked in his heart. This was the first time he used the skill of the 10,000 dragons Chaozong in Shenlong Ju, but he did not expect that the 10,000 dragons Chaozong would be used when it was not in use. It was astonishing to use it, and it would directly kill so many mountain-protecting heavenly generals. The Dragon King is so powerful that he can unify the three realms, and it's just around the corner. The Dragon King is so powerful that he can unify the three realms, and it's just around the corner. The Dragon King is so powerful that he can unify the three realms, and it's just around the corner. The Dragon King is so powerful that he can unify the three realms, and it's just around the corner. The faces of Prime Minister Turtle and others who were watching the battle were already shocked to the point of being beyond compare, and they were all full of horror. After a while, Prime Minister Turtle all knelt on the ground and kowtowed in the direction of Zhou Qing. To this day, the shocking scene of Wanlong Chaozong killing the general who protects the mountain still lingers in their minds. That scene was so shocking that they could hardly believe that the Dragon King possessed such terrifying power, but it also convinced them even more that the Dragon Clan in the future must be extraordinary. Everyone get up. After casually destroying the heavenly generals protecting the mountain, Bao Qing basically understood the horror of his 8-clawed mutated purple gold dragon. At least, with its huge body and shocking strength, he was already at the top of the mythical world. Among the ranks of masters. Before this, he had not even touched the door of the top master of mythology. Ignoring the sweet prompt coming from the system again, Bao Qing looked back at Shushan and was about to leave. It has to be said that the harvest from this trip to Shushan was very rich. Not only did he obtain a lot of dragon luck and evolution points, but he also turned the monks in Shushan into his slaves to serve him. When he returns to the East China Sea Dragon Palace, with the help of the Shushan monks, the combat power of the soldiers and generals will definitely be greatly improved again. Of course, this is also the purpose of his coming to Shushan this time. Suddenly, while Zhao Qing was thinking, a pleasant reminder sounded. The Cave Heaven Paradise, Shushan has been detected. The host has successfully occupied it. Do you want to allocate evolution points? After allocating evolution points, Shushan will evolve into Shuishan, which can escape into the East China Sea with the host, and will be given the Sword Sect Shushan Sword Sect, which can teach shrimp soldiers and crab generals, the East China Sea Dragon Clan's alchemy and herbal collection, and the Shushan sword controlling technique. The speed of swordsmanship training for all the Water Clan will be increased 200%. And there is a chance that an aquatic swordsman, a master of aquatic swordsmanship, will be born. Shui Shuishan. Is there still such an operation? Bo Qing, who was worried that he could not move Shushan away to improve the strength of the entire Shui tribe, was stunned when he heard this. Unexpectedly, the system was considerate again and could actually allocate evolution points to Shushan, making Shushan his own, and giving birth to the Shui tribe. Juggernaut. Although many shrimp soldiers and crab generals in his aquatic tribe use long weapons, many fish spirits and fish monsters use long swords, and they are about to start practicing swordsmanship. Why are you still hesitating? Now Qing grinned and directly chose, yes. Sure enough, the next moment, a pleasant voice sounded. Evolution points have been allocated, and Shushan has evolved into Shuishu Mountain. Under Shuishu Mountain, the speed of all Shui clan swordsmanship training is increased by 200%. There is also a chance that the Water Clan Sword Master, will be born. And the Shushan Sword Sect will be given as a gift, which can teach the shrimp soldiers and crab generals, the Dragon Clan of the East China Sea to refine elixirs and collect herbs, and the skills of wielding swords in Shushan. Hearing this pleasant reminder, Yao Qing felt extremely excited. The next moment, a blue light emerged, and at some point, a careful Shushan appeared in Bao Qing's hand, but the original Shushan had disappeared, as if it had never existed. Dragon King, how come this Shu Mountain is in your hands and has become so small? Prime Minister Gui on the side was stunned, and Ao Guang and others were also wide-eyed. They had no idea what was going on. However, when they thought about it carefully, in just a few weeks, something magical happened to Dragon Emperor Bao Qing. Is it still less? Go back to the coast of the East China Sea. Bao Qing ignored the shock of everyone, and disappeared without a trace. He was in a hurry to flood Shushan. And at the same time that Ao Qing led the entire East China Sea Dragon clan to raid Shu Mountain, at this moment, Kunlun Mountain. Yushu Palace. One of the three saints, the dojo of Yuanshi Tianzun. At this moment, in front of Yuanshi Tianzun, many apprentices and disciples wearing white Taoist uniforms were sitting quietly, all of them practicing with seriousness and concentration on their faces. In front of Yuanshi Tianzun, a disciple stood respectfully, panting. So, after the Dragon clan of the East China Sea killed my precious disciple, the Western sect's Taoist priest went there once. He also gave the innate spiritual treasure, the Linglong Pagoda, as a gift. Yuanshi Tianzun spoke slowly, frowning and thinking. Ever since his apprentice Tai Zhenren was killed in the East China Sea Dragon clan, Yuanshi Tianzun has been secretly sending people to spy on every move of the East China Sea Dragon clan. He wanted to see if the East China Sea Dragon clan had eaten the courage of its ambition and dared to touch his apprentice, or was it someone else? For what reason? However, Yuanshi Tianzun judged from the various news brought by his disciples that there was probably an extremely deep background behind the East China Sea Dragon clan, and it was an existence that even the three great saints did not dare to provoke. The fact that Taoist Yin Yin presented the exquisite pagoda to Ao King Shantian Lingbao made him even more certain that behind the Dragon clan of the East China Sea, there must be a strong tree to protect it from the wind and rain. Otherwise, it would not be a good thing to tie. Yi Jun took action. Yes, Master, and the Dragon clan of the East China Sea recently went to Shu Mountain. When the Dragon King Yao Qing took action, he turned into an 8-clawed mutated purple gold dragon. As soon as the Taoist boy finished speaking, there were waves of gasps throughout the Yushu Palace. The Taoist boys who were concentrating on their cultivation were all wide-eyed in surprise, their faces full of disbelief. One of the 12 golden immortals, who was later Yang Jian's master, Yuding Zhenren, tightly closed his brows. The apprentice once heard that the more claws in this giant dragon, the more claws there are, the stronger the strength. Among the golden dragons, the mutant purple gold dragon is at the top. How long has it been since the East China Sea Dragon clan has a mutant purple gold dragon taking charge? Yes, this mutated purple gold dragon is a peak existence that even the dragon's ancestor, the ancestor dragon, could not reach back then. This East China Sea is a bit not simple. Yes, this East China Sea is indeed not easy. The 12 golden immortals and other disciples spoke one after another and expressed their opinions. The few real people who originally wanted to avenge Tai Zhenren were like eggplants beaten by frost. For a moment, they did not dare to clamor for trouble from the East China Sea Dragon clan. An 8-clawed mutated purple gold dragon. Yuanshi Tianzun frowned and looked very unhappy. When all the disciples saw Master's expression, they were all trembling with fear. This was the first time in thousands of years that they had seen Yuanshi Tianzun showing such an expression. Okay, I know this. Go down. Yuanshi Tianzun waved his hand, indicating that the apprentice who reported the news could leave. The existence of the East China Sea Dragon clan has completely affected Yuanshi Tianzun and Taisheng Laojun's plan to become a god. Thinking of this, Yuanshi Tianzun became very depressed. At this moment, another disciple ran in a panic. Master, Master, it's not good. The East China Sea Dragon clan went to Shushan a few days ago, suppressed all the 100,000 monks in Shushan, and brought them back. East China Sea Dragon Palace. And the Shushan mountain disappeared without knowing what happened. Shushan has disappeared. Suddenly, Yuanshi Tianzun stood up. Shushan is the most desired holy land among practitioners, and it is guarded by the heavenly generals who protect the mountain. It should not disappear, but what happened to Shushan? Could it be related to the Dragon clan of the East China Sea? Today's East China Sea Dragon clan is already interfering with his and Taisheng Laojun's plan to become gods. If the East China Sea Dragon clan is allowed to continue to act arbitrarily, all their efforts will be in vain. What's more, who can be sure that this East China Sea Dragon clan is not the leader of Tongtian cult? People. The more Yuanshi Tianzun thought about it, the more he frowned and his heart became more impetuous. At this time, a Taoist boy said cautiously to the side, Tianzun, since Nezha is no longer on the list of gods, it means that the heaven has changed. Maybe, the Dragon King of the East China Sea, Bao Qing, is the person on the list of gods. What? The one who replaces Nezha? Hearing this, Yuanshi Tianzun's eyes lit up, and he calculated with both hands and deduced, what if the Dragon King of the East China Sea was indeed one of their top names on the list of gods? It's a pity that no matter how Yuanshi Tianzun deduces, he can't calculate the body of Aoqing, the Dragon King of the East China Sea, and this makes Yuanshi Tianzun even more confused. Strange. Why can't I deduce it? Hearing this, all the disciples couldn't help but feel a little stunned in their hearts. They are all very aware of Yuanshi Tianzun's strength, especially Yuanshi Tianzun's ability to deduce calculations. Even he can't deduce the true details of the Dragon King of the East China Sea. What this means, I'm afraid no one knows it better than them. It is very possible that the Dragon King of the East China Sea survived and became the Son of Destiny. Only the Son of Destiny cannot be deduced or calculated. Tianzun, what should we do? We can't let the East China Sea Dragon clan continue to develop like this. A disciple frowned. Tianzun, by the way, the Four Seas Dragon clan is under the control of Star Lord Shui de Xingjun, Fire Dexing Lord and other Star Lords. We might as well inform them about the East China Sea Dragon clan. After they learn about it, they will definitely take action against the East China Sea Dragon clan. You can definitely take this opportunity to find out the details of the East China Sea Dragon clan. A Taoist boy suddenly thought of something and said quickly. Lord Shui Dexing, Lord Huo Dexing. Yuanshi Tianzun's eyes lit up. He had been busy with the list of gods, and for a moment, he actually forgot about this. I think that when the Sihai Dragon clan surrendered to heaven, it was under the control of Heavenly Court's Shui Dexing Lord and Huo Xing Lord, which was equivalent to the Water Conservancy Department of Heaven. In the hands of these two Star Lords, countless dragon lives were lost. Sometimes if it rains just a little less, Xingjun can kill the Dragon clan. Moreover, behind these two Star Lords, there are 100,000 star teams, all of which are elite heavenly soldiers and are extremely powerful. However, Yuanshi Tianzun had just thought about this when a Taoist boy ran in with a panic face. Tianzun, it's not good. Shushan, one of the cave heaven paradises, unexpectedly appeared on the coast of the East China Sea. Moreover, many shrimp soldiers and crab generals started practicing, and they actually developed human swordsmanship. What? Learned human swordsmanship? Hearing this, Yuanshi Tianzun's face changed slightly, and the faces of the disciples were also shocked and full of surprise. A few days later, on the shores of the Four Seas, the East China Sea. A certain martial arts arena. Look at my Shushan sword control skills. Accompanied by a sharp shout, I saw a shrimp soldier on a huge martial arts stage with his hands clasped together. A sharp sword actually flew around him. After a moment, it flew directly into the distance, fiercely. Nailed hard on the bullseye in the distance. Such a skillful scene directly made many of the soldiers and generals watching below subconsciously applaud, feeling very excited and uplifted. Swordsmanship, stop it. On the martial arts stage, the shrimp soldier who successfully performed the Shushan swordsmanship did not panic. He chanted the spell in his mouth, and immediately heard a clear and sweet sound. The flying sword inserted in the bullseye suddenly returned to the scene. In the hands of the shrimp soldiers. This scene made the already boiling audience stand even more boiling now, like boiling water. Yes, I am very good at using sword control. I have reached the entry-level level. I can basically control the flying sword. Who is next? Under the martial arts stage, a Shushan Taoist dressed in white stood quietly. He gave some simple instructions. Immediately, another shrimp soldier jumped on the stage and began to try the Shushan swordsmanship. Not bad. In such a short period of time, a shrimp soldier has mastered the Shushan sword controlling technique. Not far from the martial arts stage, the former Dragon King of the East China Sea Guang and Prime Minister Turtle were having a cup of tea and a game of chess. They both slowly withdrew their satisfied gazes. A few days ago, after Aoqing returned to the coast of the East China Sea, he immediately established a huge immortal cultivation sword sect called Shuishu Mountain in the East China Sea. The people of these immortal sword sects were not idle, and they were all arranged by Aoqing. In the martial arts arena on the shores of the Four Seas, those shrimp soldiers, crab generals, fish spirits and fish monsters began to be taught the sword-controlling skills of Shushan. At the beginning, the former Dragon King of the East China Sea Aoguang and Prime Minister Turtle were both confused. They had no idea what Bo Qing was doing. It is enough for the demon clan to have their own cultivation techniques, so why do they need to practice the human clan's spells? But as the shrimp soldiers, crab generals and fish monsters began to practice the Shushan sword-controlling technique, Aoguang and Prime Minister Turtle were shocked to find that the combat power of those shrimp soldiers, crab generals and fish monsters who had learned the Shushan sword-controlling technique had increased more than a little. Some talented shrimp soldiers even mastered Shushan's sword-controlling skills on the same day, and were able to control flying swords and control them to kill enemies 100 meters away. Although these shrimp soldiers also know some aquatic spells, whether it is power or cost-effectiveness, the sword control skills of the human race are higher, and the improvement brought to them is more impressive. Therefore, after discovering the subtleties of human swordsmanship, Aoguang, Prime Minister Turtle and others promoted it more carefully and worked harder. No, the two of them even personally came to supervise the training and learning of the shrimp soldiers and crab generals. Of course, taking advantage of this precious opportunity, the two of them also learned a few tricks, and were able to simply control some flying swords to surround and protect themselves. And they also discovered at this time that in terms of cultivation skills, human beings are more sophisticated. They don't know how many times better than the crude demon clan skills. It's no wonder that the Dragon King made a special trip to Shu Mountain. Things like what happened between Aoguang and Prime Minister Gui on the martial arts stage can be seen all over the seashore all the time. Countless fish spirits, fish monsters, shrimp soldiers and crab generals on the shores of the Four Seas, when they received the Dragon Emperor's order to make a living, their first reaction was to refuse. After all, it was not that they had not practiced martial arts, but as they began to practice Shushan royal swordsmanship, those voices of rejection gradually weakened. Many fish spirits, fish monsters, shrimp soldiers and crab generals have obviously felt that their combat effectiveness has been rapidly improved after learning the Shushan sword technique, which they could not feel at all before. As a result, in just a few days, a frenzy of swordsmanship training was set off across the entire coast. Many soldiers and generals competed to see who could practice faster. The one with a higher level of swordsmanship would win the most. Nice reward. Suddenly, even the sword-making blacksmiths on the shores of the Four Seas were full, and all the fish, monsters, shrimps, soldiers and crabs were all using swords as weapons. Without knowing it, 2 weeks passed. In the past 2 weeks, almost all the fish, monsters, shrimps, soldiers and generals on the shores of the Four Seas have received the message from the Dragon Emperor and began to practice the Shushan sword-controlling technique compulsorily. Among the many aquatic tribes, the number of shrimp soldiers and crab generals who have completely understood the secrets of the sword, reached the second stage of the sword, and used their energy to control the sword has increased to thousands in a short period of time. Of course, there are many aquatic tribes who have reached the entry level and can barely control flying swords, tens of thousands of them. Although there are only a few masters who have truly learned the art of sword control, with the practice of sword control in Shushan, Seehaiban's overall combat effectiveness has at least doubled. What the Seehai Dragon clan really needs is just time. Lord Dragon King, the basic situation is this. In the past 2 weeks, the overall combat power of our Dragon clan in the Four Seas has increased a lot. I believe that in the coming time, more masters of the aquatic tribe will learn the Shushan sword-controlling technique. Sitting cross-legged on the dragon bed in the East China Sea Dragon Palace, Prime Minister Turtle respectfully reported to Dragon Emperor Nao Qingwei. At the same time, he handed the statistical data to Nao Qing. Good. Nao Qing only took a few glances at the reported results, and a satisfied smile appeared on his lips. He thought to himself that his trip to Shushan was indeed not in vain. The Shushan Taoist priests he brought had actually improved the combat power of his Four Seas Dragon Palace aquatic tribe so much, allowing so many shrimp soldiers and crab generals to learn the sword-controlling skills of Shushan. Of course, with the 9-colored exquisite pagoda in hand, Bao Qing is not afraid of any strange ideas from those Shushan Taoist priests, and the Seehai tribe has also undergone tremendous changes according to his expectations, which makes him very excited and excited. After all, the strength of the Four Seas Dragon clan has increased. Is it still far from unifying the 3 realms? The Dragon King is worthy of being the Dragon King. He can actually predict that the human clan's skills are much more powerful than the demon clan's skills. Many shrimp soldiers and crab generals have said that the effects are good after practicing Shushan sword controlling skills. Prime Minister Gui did not forget to flatter Nao Qing. By the way, Lord Dragon King, as we unify the shores of the four seas, more and more Dragon Kings want to join us, and many of them are already here, waiting outside. Oh, it's interesting. After hearing this, Nao Qing remembered that there were actually many Dragon Kings on the mainland, such as Dragon Kings from wells, Dragon Kings from small rivers and so on. I think these people had received the news and came to join him. Of course, these Dragon Kings are basically not pure Dragon King bloodline, they are basically sub-dragons such as dragons. However, they can also improve the overall strength of the Dragon Clan and give the Dragon Clan a wave of luck. At the same time that Dao Qing learned about the arrival of the Dragon Kings, at this moment, outside the East China Sea Dragon Palace, more than a dozen Dragon Kings wearing yellow robes and Dragon King crowns gathered together with anxious faces. All of them were pacing uneasily. Well, may I ask, has the Dragon King agreed to meet us? The leader, a Dragon King wearing a Dragon King's crown, carefully walked up to a shrimp soldier and asked respectfully. This Dragon King is the Dragon King in charge of the Yellow River in the human world, and his name is the Dragon King of the Yellow River. Of course, although this Dragon King of the Yellow River has the title of Dragon King, in fact, he is a dragon, and the Dragon King of the Yellow River is the transformation of a dragon. The other Dragon Kings are basically like the Yellow River Dragon King. That's right, has the Dragon King agreed to meet us? Another Dragon King asked anxiously. In fact, the purpose of these Dragon Kings coming here this time is very simple, that is, they want to join the Dragon King and survive. God knows how miserable the situation of these Dragon Kings scattered in the human world is. Especially under the jurisdiction of Shui Dexingjun and Hua Dexingjun, they may be beheaded directly if they are not careful. No, a few days ago, when they heard about the amazing achievements of Dragon Emperor Dao Qing leading the entire Four Seas coast, each and every Titus was excited and excited. After all, they all belong to the Dragon Clan, so how could they be willing to rely on others? Your life is in control. Dragon Kings, please don't be anxious, Dragon King Aoking should be out soon. The shrimp soldier said quickly. Hearing this, the Dragon Kings secretly breathed a sigh of relief, and their eyes flashed with anticipation. When they came to the coast of the East China Sea, the Dragon Kings had already noticed that the coast of the Four Seas had undergone earth-shaking changes under the governance of the Dragon King Dao Qing. In particular, many shrimp soldiers and crab generals even had soldiers and generals that could compete with the heavenly soldiers. Strength. How could this not shock them? How not to look forward to it? And at this time, a faint voice immediately sounded. I didn't expect that several Dragon Kings would come here, and they have been waiting here for a long time. Our Dragon King Aoking has prepared a banquet. Dragon Kings, please come. Quote. The person who spoke was none other than Prime Minister Turtle. As he spoke, Prime Minister Turtle made a gesture of invitation. As soon as he finished speaking, the Dragon Kings quickly walked into the majestic East China Sea Dragon Palace under the leadership of Prime Minister Turtle. At first, outside the East China Sea Dragon Palace, the Dragon Kings only appreciated the majesty and grandeur of the East China Sea Dragon Palace. But when they walked into the East China Sea Dragon Palace and saw the luxurious decorations, colorful corals and other decorations, not to mention how envious I am, I also feel more confident. At this time, the maids of the East China Sea Dragon Palace had already brought all the delicacies to the table one by one, waiting for them to take their seats. The Dragon Kings hesitated for a moment, and then slowly took their seats. At this time, Bao Qing, accompanied by several maids, slowly walked out with a smile on his face. When the Dragon Kings saw him, they quickly stood up, their eyes full of flattery. Although they are all dragons, they can all clearly feel the strong and powerful dragon power coming from Bao Qing, which is even strong to the point that it cannot be attached. Such a Dragon King can often lead them, the one who moves towards the future, the one who leads the Dragon Clan to glory. This Dragon King already knows the purpose of your coming. However, I don't like to beat around the bush and prefer to get straight to the point. Gazing across the bodies of the Dragon Kings, Bao Qing spoke slowly. At this time, he heard countless pleasant reminders in his ears, all of which reminded him that the dragon clan's luck had improved. When all the dragon kings heard this, they all nodded and waited quietly for Nao Qing to speak. From now on, any dragon king who is willing to join Seehaiban can become our most solid partner in Seehaiban. I can even grant you some skills and experience in managing your subordinates. Bao Qing grinned. There were so many dragon kings in the human world. If all these dragon kings were used by him, their power would be quite huge. After hearing what Nao Qing said, the dragon kings who were originally worried about not accepting them were secretly relieved. They didn't know why, but after seeing Nao Qing, they felt like they were willing to surrender, as if they didn't care. They are very happy to do any number of things for Ao King. Of course, they naturally don't know that today's Ao Qing has evolved into an 8-clawed purple gold mutated dragon, and has inexplicable command over any dragon subordinates. Holy Dragon King, unify the 3 realms. 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 In the chaos of the National People's Congress, one of the Dragon Kings suddenly shouted loudly, and the other Dragon Kings quickly joined in. Their blood was surging, and they felt that their bodies were burning. Congratulations! The Yellow River Dragon King's loyalty to you has increased. It has increased to 100 points. Congratulations! The Taohe Dragon King's loyalty to you has increased. It has increased to 100 points. Congratulations! The Yue Dragon King's loyalty to you has increased. It has increased to 100 points. Congratulations! The Liusha River Dragon King's loyalty to you has increased. It has increased to 100 points. Seeing the Dragon Kings being so surrendered, Bao Qing was about to speak when he heard the pleasant sound of the system's prompts in his ears. This made him stunned for a moment, and then he was delighted. He thought that after evolving into an 8-clawed mutated golden dragon, the attributes of his commanding power is indeed much stronger. With just a few words, he has become his most loyal subordinate. Congratulations! Your dragon's luck has improved. It has increased by 1 point. Congratulations! Your dragon's luck has improved. It has increased by 1 point. Congratulations! Your dragon's luck has improved. It has increased by 1 point. Congratulations! Your dragon's luck has improved. It has increased by 1 point. Your national rating has been improved. It has been upgraded to sea level. The next moment, there were another pleasant reminder sounds, which made Bao Qing very excited, thinking in his heart that the recovery of these Dragon Kings was not in vain. Ha 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 ha, all Dragon Kings, please rest assured. Under the leadership of this Dragon King, the Dragon Clan will definitely become the most powerful existence among all races. Bao Qing shrugged his shoulders and was about to say something when he suddenly frowned and felt something. Trouble, coming so soon. At this moment, a clear and exciting voice slowly echoed throughout the entire seashore without any warning. The Dragon King of the East China Sea is in trouble. You brought trouble to the 3 seas and proclaimed yourself Dragon King. You also ignored heaven's orders to cast spells and rain for many times. You went to Shushan without permission and took away Pengu's essence. Are you trying to gather people to rebel? If you hand over the Dragon King of the Seas and Wells, Uncle Shui will pretend that what happened today never happened. But if you don't hand over, it will be tantamount to confronting the heaven. As soon as he finished speaking, the faces of the Dragon Kings who came from the rivers and wells all changed slightly, and they were a little shocked. They were all too familiar with this voice. This is the voice of Shui Dexingjun's Yellow River Uncle Shui. Unexpectedly, Uncle Shui found out about our affairs. Now we are in trouble. Yes, I heard that the Yellow River Shuibo under Lord Shui Dexing is extremely powerful and protected by magic weapons. He can control thousands of floods. It's over now. How did the Uncle Shui of the Yellow River know what we are doing here? And also knew about the Dragon Emperors staying alive. The faces of the Dragon Kings changed continuously, and their words were full of panic and fear. Even the shrimp soldiers, crab generals, turtle prime minister and others from the Seahai Dragon clan looked extremely ugly. Yellow River Shuibo, Nao Qing, who was sitting in the main seat of the Dragon Palace, slightly curled his lips. If he remembered correctly, in his position in heaven, Lord Shui Dexing was in charge of clouds, rain and flood disasters in the human world. Uncle Shui was equivalent to Lord Shui Dexing's younger brother. He often traveled and worked for Lord Shui Dexing, and the Dragon Kings of the Four Seas Dragon Clan and various water bodies are the younger brothers of Uncle Shui, that is, the younger brothers of Lord Shui Dexing's younger brother. Not to mention the extremely low status of the Dragon Clan, they are often ordered around by Uncle Shui and Lord Shui Dexing, and they work hard. If something goes wrong, they will be blamed. The situation can be said to be very miserable. Precisely because of this, many Dragon Kings came to seek refuge with him. However, many Dragon Kings did not expect that Uncle Shui would move so quickly and learn about their Dragon Clan's affairs immediately. Lord Dragon Emperor, I don't know how Uncle Shui learned about what's going on here. Please rest assured that we will never make it difficult for you. We are responsible for Uncle Shui's matter today. The future of the Dragon Clan in the Four Seas still needs to be. It's up to you. Just when the Dragon Kings were panicking, one of them, the Dragon King of the Yellow River, walked out slowly and said respectfully, with a look of determination on his face. Yes, Mr. Dragon King, you must not stand up for us. The power of heaven is not something that the Dragon Clan of the Four Seas can resist now. The worst we can do is be captured by Uncle Shui and imprisoned for thousands of years. The future of the Dragon Clan will be determined. The most important thing. The Dragon King of Taohe also stood up with a determined look. Lord Dragon King, you are the first one who made me feel that the Dragon Clan has hope to rise, and you are now the existence of the 8-clawed golden dragon. I believe that soon, you will be able to attack the 12-clawed golden dragon, thus completely defeating the Dragon Clan. The Dragon Clan has led to glory. Now, please be patient for a moment and not provoke heaven. Let the Yellow River Shui Bo take us away. Another Dragon King stood up, his eyes full of determination. Hearing the words of rejection from the Dragon Kings, even the previous Dragon King of the East China Sea, Ao Guang, Prime Minister Turtle and others, could not help but blush. Since the ancient times when the ancestral dragons roamed freely, the Dragon Clan has been so majestic. Today's Dragon Clan has become the lackeys of heaven. This, how regrettable it is. These Dragon Kings are all thinking about the future of the Dragon Clan, and they are also thinking about the future of the Dragon King Ao Qing. Even now Qing felt his eyes were a little moist after listening to the words of several Dragon Kings. These people really think about themselves. But, so what if you fight against heaven? The moment he killed Tai Zhenren, he was already doomed. He was not afraid of any force. What's more, he is worried that he will not have the opportunity to improve the Dragon Clan's luck and improve the Dragon Clan's overall strength. Now that this precious opportunity was presented to him, how could he not cherish it? Not to mention Uncle Shui, even if Lord Shui Dexing came in person, he would kill him without hesitation. Now, let's go out to sea with me and see how brave this Yellow River water uncle is. He dares to challenge me on the shores of the Four Seas. Ha ha, Yao Qing shrugged his shoulders, and then a light flashed and he flew out. In the East China Sea Dragon Palace, all the Dragon Kings hesitated for a moment, and then they all followed one after another. Until now, they are still shocked and confused in their hearts. This Uncle Shui is a heavenly deity. He is recorded in the immortal books and is equivalent to the existence of a court official. Once he is killed, it will be tantamount to offending the entire heaven. Dragon Emperor, do you really want to do this? This is tantamount to courting death. But looking at the expressions of Prime Minister Gui, Ao Guang and others, why are they still so happy? While the Dragon Kings were thinking in confusion, they had already followed the Dragon King Ao Qing and flew out of the East China Sea. But at this moment, a pleasant reminder suddenly came from Dragon Emperor Bao Qing's ears. Congratulations! The Yellow River Dragon King's loyalty to you has increased, reaching 100 loyalty points. Congratulations! Taohe Dragon King's loyalty to you has increased, reaching 100 loyalty points. Congratulations! The Waishui Dragon King's loyalty to you has increased, reaching 100 loyalty points. Congratulations! Zhulong Dragon King's loyalty to you has increased, reaching 100 loyalty points. Hearing the reminder sound in his ears, Bao Qing was stunned for a moment, then overjoyed. He said to himself, these Dragon Kings really recognized him as the Dragon King. It seems that the oppression of them by the gods is also very serious. At this moment, outside the shores of the East China Sea, hundreds of heavenly soldiers and generals were standing quietly. The leader was an old man with gray hair and a long stick. He was the Yellow River Shuibo. He was still far away. One could clearly feel the strong murderous aura emanating from their bodies. Seeing Uncle Shui of the Yellow River and the heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals, the Dragon King's pale faces became even more pale, and their hearts were shaken. Unexpectedly, Uncle Shui came with heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals. This is trouble. Yes, once you kill the heavenly soldiers and generals, it means that you will fight to the death with the heavens. Yes, it is tantamount to challenging the majesty of heaven. The Dragon Kings were talking a lot, and some of them wanted to surrender. After all, they were the ones who brought this trouble. Bao Qing, what, you want to fight against heaven? On the beach of the East China Sea, Shui Bo of the Yellow River saw Nao Qing's arrogant momentum, and his heart trembled for a moment. However, when he thought of Hu Tianting's support behind him, he mustered up some courage and said coldly to Nao Qing. More than 100 heavenly soldiers and generals seemed to have felt something. Each one of them clenched the weapons in their hands. A stronger murderous aura suddenly spread out around them, centering on them, faintly shaking the entire East China Sea coast. How could Bao Qing allow these heavenly soldiers and generals to provoke the East China Sea? He snorted coldly at the moment. Boom, he just snorted coldly, and suddenly, a powerful shock wave centered on him and spread to the surroundings, directly shaking away the murderous intent of the heavenly soldiers and generals, and not only in this way, the sound of metal collisions could be heard, and those heavenly soldiers and generals staggered back one by one, almost falling to the ground. Even Shui Bo, the strongest man, felt a powerful force pressing down on him, like a mountain bearing down on him, and even his breathing stopped instantly. One look, shocked Uncle Shui. My day. This is too strong. This was the first time that the Dragon King saw Dragon Emperor Yao Qing take action. No, to be precise, Dragon Emperor Dao Qing just snorted coldly. But what the Dragon Kings didn't expect was that with just a cold snort, the Dragon King directly suppressed Uncle Shui, heavenly soldiers, heavenly generals and others, leaving them speechless and almost stopping breathing. This is the strength of the 8-clawed mutated purple gold dragon. Prime Minister Turtle and others on the side had normal expressions. After all, there were too many miracles that happened to Dragon King Dao Qing, and they were all used to it. However, seeing the shocked expressions of the Dragon Kings, they felt very happy inside. As for Uncle Shui and others on the beach of the East China Sea, their expressions were changing at this moment, and their eyes were full of horror and shock. They did not expect that the Dragon King of the East China Sea, Zhou Qing, had become so powerful. It's just a cold snort, but with such power, how terrifying it will be when he actually takes action. However, there was Heavenly Court as the backstage, so even if he knew the strength of Yao Qing, Uncle Shui concluded that Dragon Emperor Yao Qing would not dare to take action. Bao Qing, this matter has nothing to do with you. I just took the Dragon King of the Yellow River and others away. It has nothing to do with you. Please rest assured that I will not take this matter today. Uncle Shui took a deep breath and raised his hands, hoping that with the help of the majesty of heaven, the matter could be resolved peacefully. It's a pity that how could Yao Qing allow others to take away the Dragon Clan in front of him. What's more, he also wants to take this opportunity to unleash a wave of dragon luck. He has never been afraid of the gods in heaven. Peaceful solution. The Dragon Emperor, won't. Before Shui Bo could finish his words, the green dragon claws had already slapped him over without any warning. With a pop, Shui Bo of the Yellow River directly turned into a blood mist that was flying all over the sky. He was so dead that he could no longer die. And at this moment, several of the shrimp soldiers around Dragon Emperor Dao Qing took action directly, very fast. Don't underestimate this shrimp soldier. These shrimp soldiers are the guards around you. They are extremely talented among the shrimp soldiers. In just 2 weeks, they have cultivated Shushan's sword-wielding skills to the 2nd level. They use qi to control swords. He also reached the realm of Xuanxian. When the Dragon Kings on the side saw this scene, their eyes widened. Is this Dragon King really not afraid of the Heavenly Court settling accounts? Shushan sword controlling technique. And while the Dragon Kings were thinking, they saw waves of crisp metal collision sounds, and several flying swords with cold light suddenly flew out from the shore of the East China Sea. The cold air was thick, and they went straight to the remaining. The heavenly soldiers and generals galloped away at extremely fast speeds. The moment this scene happened, the Dragon Kings who were shocked by the fact that Dragon King Yaoqing directly shot Uncle Shui to death were all stunned and speechless. Control the flying sword. He also controls several flying swords at once. Are there such powerful magic skills among the aquatic tribe? Why do you see how skillfully this shrimp soldier is controlled? The Dragon Kings could clearly feel the terrifying murderous intention contained in the flying sword, and even they felt terrified. This is what the shrimp soldiers of the aquarium can achieve. When the heavenly soldiers and generals in the distance sensed the unprecedented danger, they were also surprised and frightened. They did not expect that a small seashore would dare to attack them and challenge the majesty of heaven. As for the sword control skills of the shrimp soldiers, these heavenly soldiers and generals have also heard of it, but they did not expect that the shrimp soldiers of the water tribe have also mastered it. Just a few inconspicuous shrimp soldiers. But what frightened the heavenly soldiers and generals even more was the strength of Dragon Emperor Boqing, who actually smashed the Yellow River Shuibo to pieces with one blow. You know, this Yellow River Shuibo is as powerful as Xingjun. This seashore seems not as easy to deal with as it seems. It's just a small seashore, why should we be afraid? But even with this thought, the heavenly soldiers and generals still calmly took action, and in unison, the water wave of more than 100 feet suddenly rolled up, forming a huge air wall composed of murderous aura. Clang! At that moment, the two flying swords hit the wall of water, making a sound of metal collision and being ejected. Oh, that's all. The heavenly soldiers and generals had disdain on their lips, saying in their hearts that the swordsmanship of the shrimp soldier was nothing more than that, and they had only learned a scary superficial skill. But soon, the smiles on their lips disappeared abruptly, and were replaced by a thick smile of consternation and shock. Because in his horrified gaze, the other flying swords controlled by the shrimp soldiers did not encounter the wall of water at all. Instead, under the precise control of the shrimp soldiers, they turned a corner and crossed the water wall directly. What's even more frightening is that the huge body of Dragon Emperor Yaoqing has appeared among them at some point. The huge dragon claws are bigger than Mount Tai. Puff, puff, the sound of blood spurting resounded without warning, and more than half of the heavenly soldiers were directly pierced through their bodies. In the blood mist, these heavenly soldiers did not even react, and they tragically lay down on the ground, dead. Can't die anymore. As more than half of the heavenly soldiers lost their lives, the expressions of the remaining heavenly soldiers suddenly changed and they were confused. At the same time, they did not expect that this unknown shore from the four seas could actually kill their heavenly soldiers. Especially the Dragon King became an 8-clawed golden dragon. What this means, no one knows better than them. When the Dragon King saw this, they who were originally dumbfounded were even more dumbfounded at this moment. Dragon King Yaoqing has proven his strength, and the shrimp soldiers and crab generals are not bad either. How strong is the entire coast of the four seas? For a moment, everyone cast their horrified eyes on the Dragon King, Baoqing, with even more respect. Without the Dragon King, I'm afraid there wouldn't be such a powerful shrimp soldier. While they were thinking about it, Dragon King Yaoqing had actually entered the team of heavenly soldiers who were preparing to escape. A dragon claw flew out, destroying the last heavenly soldiers and generals, leaving no harm behind. The battle started quickly and ended quickly. Until now, many Dragon Kings had not reacted and the battle was already over. Is this the power of the 8-clawed purple gold dragon? It's really powerful. Dragon Emperor, I admire you more and more now. The Shushan swordsmanship of these shrimp soldiers is also very good. Prime Minister Gui, who was watching the battle, said excitedly and gave a thumbs up. Baoqing shrugged his shoulders. This was just a warm-up before the meal. What made him a little depressed was that the heavenly soldiers and generals were not strong enough to kill him. If he had known better, he would not have let the shrimp soldiers take action. However, I have to say that the growth of the shrimp soldiers still surprised him. Their skill in controlling flying swords made him very envious. If all the shrimp soldiers have the strength of the shrimp soldiers in front of them, then it will be the shore of the four seas, and the dragon clan of the four seas will be truly terrifying, and its sharpness will be difficult for any force to resist. By the way, Dragon Emperor, if I'm not wrong, the Shushan swordsmanship used by those shrimp soldiers just now is a kind of swordsman holding the moon. It is a kind of advanced swordsmanship after reaching the third realm of swordsmanship. I didn't expect this shrimp soldiers can actually learn it. Ao Guang, the former Dragon King of the East China Sea, said excitedly, his eyes filled with energy. Can you not be in high spirits? Now a slightly inferior shrimp soldier from the East China Sea Dragon clan can have the strength to kill the heavenly soldiers and generals. Coupled with the existence of the Dragon Emperor's 8-clawed golden dragon, I'm afraid no one knows what this means better than him. I am also more aware that the East China Sea Dragon clan is no longer what it used to be. Ha ha ha, this is all the wise guidance of Dragon Emperor Yaoqing. Yes, if it weren't for the Dragon King to survive, I believe we wouldn't have such terrifying strength. It's a pity that I can't go to the battlefield, otherwise, my Shushan sword control skills are not bad. No wonder the Dragon Emperor asked us to learn the Shushan swordsmanship. The power of the Shushan swordsmanship alone is enough to prove what kind of terrifying effects it will have once the demon clan uses the human clan's swordsmanship. However, in the end, it is still the Dragon Emperor. Sir, you are so strong, half of you will die immediately with one blow. Nonsense, that's Lord Dragon King. The shrimp soldiers and crab generals on the side were all excited. Some shrimp soldiers were even gearing up and eager to try, wanting to step forward and show off themselves. And those Dragon Kings of the Dragon Clan who were originally trembling with fear because of the water of the Yellow River slowly relaxed their hearts at this moment, and finally understood why Zhou Qing was no longer afraid of heaven, and was not even afraid that heaven would be recorded in the immortal book of gods. The Dragon Emperor with the 8-clawed golden dragon has already proven the power of the entire East China Sea Dragon clan, and how is it possible or impossible for such a dragon clan to be a lackey for heaven? Even heaven, is it worthy? Seeing the subtle changes in the expressions of the Dragon Kings, Bao Qing curled his lips slightly. After all, a lot of his evolution points have been spent on the East China Sea. The effect of super seawater has greatly improved the cultivation speed of shrimps, soldiers, crabs, and fish monsters. It seems that he needs to allocate more evolution points in the future. Point, on the super seawater. While he was thinking, the shrimp soldiers were already clearing the battlefield, and there was only one heavenly soldier left, who was still barely alive. It can be clearly seen that the bodies of the dead heavenly soldiers have shallow knife marks, showing the advanced swordsmanship of the shrimp soldiers. No, it's impossible. The shrimp soldiers of the East China Sea Dragon clan are the most mediocre in talent of the water tribe. How could they learn the Shushan sword driving skills of the human race? And be so powerful? It's impossible for an 8-clawed golden dragon to be born on the shores of the 4 seas. The perverted Dragon King is here. A heavenly soldier who was barely alive looked at the shrimp soldiers, not to mention that he had been hit hard. His eyes were filled with surprise, and he was ready to find an opportunity to escape. Yes, we shrimp soldiers are the most mediocre trash aquarium among the Dragon clan of the East China Sea and even the Dragon clan of the 4 seas, but don't forget, this East China Sea is controlled by our Dragon Emperor. Under the rule of our Dragon Emperor, their strength has improved by leaps and bounds, and many people have even made breakthroughs in just a few short periods of time, and this is all thanks to the Dragon King's success. Hearing the words of the heavenly soldier, the shrimp soldier snorted and corrected him seriously. HMPH, what crime do you dragons deserve for offending the gods of heaven? When heaven comes, even if you are thousands of shrimp soldiers, you will not be able to escape the power of heaven. The last heavenly soldier who was barely alive became anxious. It's a pity that the moment he just finished speaking, a sword light illuminated the dim sky like daylight. Tianbing only felt a faint chill coming from his neck. Then, he was shocked to find that his neck it fell directly. In the spray of blood mist, Tianbing felt that his vision went dark, and he immediately lost all consciousness. Thump! The last heavenly soldier finally fell to the ground, ruthlessly announcing the final result of this battle. After finishing everything, the shrimp soldiers turned their heads and respectfully kowtowed 3 times in the direction of Zhou Qing, with excitement on their faces. Thank you, Lord Dragon Emperor, for the opportunity. We, the shrimp soldiers with mediocre talents, only then have the opportunity to come into contact with the profound swordsmanship of Shushan. From now on, Sha Bing will follow the Dragon Emperor's lead and go up the mountain of swords and into the sea of fire. It is difficult to repay the Dragon Emperor's kindness by throwing his head in blood. After leaving these words, Sha Bing then respectfully returned to his position. The shrimp soldiers on the side saw their companions being so excited, and for a moment, their eyes were filled with excitement. Once upon a time, shrimp soldiers like them were doing the lowest jobs among the dragon clan of the four seas. And in every fight, their soldiers are not just cannon fodder. No one has ever valued them, and no one has ever valued them. The dragon tribe has ruled the water tribe for many years and has been oppressed by various immortals and gods. However, they, the shrimp soldiers, are in an even worse situation. They have become burial objects every time. It has become the number of the aftermath. However, today he easily defeated the so-called immortal official who once showed off his power over the dragon clan, and even the heavenly soldiers were no match for him. One can imagine the inner feelings of the shrimp soldiers. It is not an exaggeration to describe them as proud, and a counterattack. Moreover, his shrimp soldiers have proved with actual examples that even if they are mediocre in talent, even if they are the most rubbish race in the water tribe, they can still assist the Dragon King and annihilate all the heavenly soldiers and generals. This battle not only boosted their confidence, it was as simple as that. It also made the shrimp soldiers clearly realize that by following the Dragon Emperor, Master Ching, there will always be delicious and spicy food, and there will always be meat to eat. When the Dragon Kings on the side saw the expressions of the shrimp soldiers, their eyes turned red for a moment. Even the dragon clans in the four seas are oppressed by immortals and gods. The plight of these dragon kings in various sea areas and wells is even more conceivable. How many times had they thought about resisting, but when they thought of the powerful heavenly court, they all endured it. But now, the battle between the shrimp soldiers has completely proved the strength of the Dragon Emperor, the future of the Dragon Clan, and the tomorrow of the Dragon Clan. One can imagine the inner thoughts of these Dragon Kings. From now on, we will follow the Dragon Emperor's lead and follow the Dragon Emperor's lead, going up the mountain of swords and under the sea of fire. We will throw our heads and blood to repay the Dragon Emperor's kindness. From now on, we will follow the Dragon Emperor's lead and follow the Dragon Emperor's lead, going up the mountain of swords and under the sea of fire. We will throw our heads and blood to repay the Dragon Emperor's kindness. From now on, we will follow the Dragon Emperor's lead and follow the Dragon Emperor's lead, going up the mountain of swords and under the sea of fire. We will throw our heads and blood to repay the Dragon Emperor's kindness. As the Dragon Kings spoke, they all imitated the shrimp soldiers and kowtowed heavily, their faces full of excitement. Congratulations, your dragon luck has improved. It has increased by 5 points. Congratulations, your dragon luck has improved. It has increased by 5 points. Congratulations, your dragon luck has improved. It has increased by 5 points. At this moment, Shui Dexingjun, who had no idea about the Dragon Clan in the East China Sea, was sitting quietly on his water god's throne in the Xingjun mansion, eating delicious food and lazily watching the dance in front of him. In front of him, several water tribe maids danced enchantingly, full of infinite temptation. As the 6 emperors of heaven, the 5 elders of the 5 directions, and the 5 planet kings under the 28 stars, Shui de Xingjun has always been in charge of the waters of the 6 realms. As long as there is a problem in the waters of the 6 realms, they all belong to water. Lord Dixing is in charge. It is precisely because of this that Lord Shui Dixing was given the title of Water God by heaven. However, although he is the water god, he rarely moves around the 6 realms. He often just sends his younger brother Shui Bo to solve the problem. This maid is pretty good. After eating a grape casually, Mr. Shui Dexing admired one of the dancing maids of the water tribe. Just when he was about to comment on what to order, a Shui Bo rushed in. Mr. Shui Dexing, I've heard everything you asked me to ask about. After hearing this, Lord Shui Dexing quickly put away his squinting eyes and winked like several maids from the water tribe. After the maids from the water tribe left, Lord Shui Dexing said with confidence, ask what the result is. In recent days, the 3 saints Yuanshi Tianzun, Taisheng Laojun, Tongtian Cult Master and others are indeed discussing the list of gods, preparing to recanonize gods and establish a new heaven. Shui Bo spoke slowly, and as he spoke, a list prepared in advance was gently handed over to Lord Shui Dexing. This is the list of gods. I copied it, please look it up. Yes, not bad. Lord Shui Dexing nodded slightly. As one of the immortal gods in charge of water conservancy in heaven, Lord Shui Dexing was not a fool. Naturally, He knew that this time the list of gods was apparently promoted by the gods to some human monks. In fact, it was the three saints who opposed the current heavenly court. A power purge by the Emperor of Heaven. To put it bluntly, it is to take advantage of the time when Heavenly Court is recruiting more candidates to insert more of your own informants and influence in order to strengthen your power in this mythical world. The reason Shui Dexingjun checked this list is also very simple. That is, he hopes to see the strength and final intentions of all parties from this list of gods, so that he can join the team in time and join the more powerful side. Even though their heaven seems calm now, in fact, as the three saints begin to determine the list of gods, more and more gods are thinking about which side they want to stand on. If this team is on the wrong side, it is very likely to be purged. Since the beginning of time, such things have not happened very often. Lord Shui Dexing glanced around, trying to guess the plans and intentions of the saints from all sides and the heavenly emperor through the places on the list of gods. Even though he is not well known as Shui Dexingjun and is a nameless existence in the world of mythology, the fact that he can firmly hold the position of Shui Dexingjun has proved that he has great wisdom and connections. Has your ability in this area been completely out of date before you saw the previous water god Gonggong? The grass in front of the grave is 1 foot tall. Of course, the reason why he can secure this position is because he has certain tyrannical strength. Suddenly, Lord Shui Dexing was stunned and his eyes fell on Nezha and others. On the copied list, the names of Nezha, Li Jing and others had been crossed out. These people. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.